Okay.
Hello?
Okay.
Everything works.
But are you sure there's echo?
think
You
that
just,
It was only because I was on my phone.
now it's off, you're off?
Yep.
So
Okay.
does,
Wait a minute,
does,
go ahead.
does that screen though turn into SAPA so that if we know anybody's online now or not?
She should be able to see it.
So
we're
you'll
not-
let us know if somebody wants to talk
The
to us.
complaint that I heard from a number of people was that's all they saw, that at the last, I don't know. So I'm just listening to what the outside is saying.
According to SAPA, Olivia and SAPA coordinated together to make sure that both could be visible. Both the PowerPoint and,
But we're not gonna see that screen that we normally see?
no.
I'm gonna call a meeting to order. Weathersfield Select Board meeting, January 17th, 2023. Paul, you're back. Would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Paul.
You are welcome, Mike.
Welcome, everybody. Can everybody hear us now? And I guess I'll rely on her. No. No, I'm talking to her. Nobody's telling us otherwise? Because I can't, the reason I'm asking is the only thing I can see is the budget presentation on our screen, so.
Who's online? Okay.
Okay, agenda review. Anybody want to do anything with this agenda? Anything you want to add or subtract or move around? Hearing none, we'll proceed. Comments from citizens, topics not on the agenda. You're just here to observe? Yep. Anybody online? No. Any board members? Go, Dan.
I have a question and I don't see it on here, so I don't know where you're thinking about or not, or is this or if this is our last meeting before the warning, would be final for the town meeting, but I don't see any presentations or any listing here for, usually we have something to do with all of the articles that get,
Number 13.
no, that's drafting town meeting articles. The articles that are for nonprofits and anybody under $500 and all that other stuff, visiting nurses, all of those generally have an opportunity to come in, and that's not here.
As I was told, we don't have anything that required anybody to come in this year. Everything that's requested was basically within the policy, and didn't go over the amounts requiring them to come back in. They were granted last year, so they're good for
Okay.
2 years.
I just, every year that I've been around, they know, it's on like rotation.
Right.
Like every 5 years they come up. I hope that's correct.
We
don't know.
did have one that just came in that I became aware of today. And it's because one person changed their request and it broke the threshold. But we received this after the agenda was posted, so I was gonna mention it. It's for $1,000,
Okay.
and this would be,
So we'll get to that when we get there. As to the first part of your question, if we need a special meeting, Dave, we'll have one. Like to finish up tonight, but if we don't, we don't. That'll mean we will need a special meeting if we don't. Any other comments from anybody on the board? Is Wendy on? Wendy should be there somewhere, yes? You don't see her? Okay, well, that's okay. Review minutes from previous meeting. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes of 1/10/2023?
I will.
Motion's been made. Do I hear a second?
Yes.
Motion's been made and seconded. I saw one little typo down in 8. Right under motion, it says finance package out. It should be put. I think it should be put together. Under the validation resolution. You see that?
Yeah, you want me to put out?
No, I think it's finance package put together. I think the O is just supposed to be a P. That's the way I read it. And you said you had one? And that was where?
On my own? It's down in, at the end, where,
What?
motion to adjourn, and I just spelled O'Brien wrong. I spelled it with an N instead of an E.
Oh, okay,
I'm not gonna lose sleep over it.
okay. Any other discussion on the minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Town managers report.
I just have a couple things tonight. Just another reminder that annual town reports are due to the town no later than January 20th. This gives us time to coordinate with Doolittle's and assemble and mail the report to Weathersfield residents. So if anybody needs any help assembling their report, please give us a call and we'll do our best to assist you. Another announcement we have are the elected positions. We do have 8 positions up for election in March. That includes the moderator, a select person 3 years, a select person 2 years, 2 lister seats, trustee of public funds, 3-year seat, cemetery commissioner, which is 5 years, and a library trustee, which is 3 years. The deadline for getting those in is January 30th. Any questions on that? Yep.
The way I understand it, you have to get a petition with like 30 names on it as well, so the days are gone when you can just go into see Floanne and sign your name and you're on the ballot. So people need to be aware that you've got to go into the town clerk's office, pull out a petition, go around and get names, have it bring back to the town clerk. She will verify the names on the voting checklist. We're back to the old days. The COVID 2-year run is over.
Yeah.
As far as getting on the ballot, so. But I have one other question, or whatever, what I did on elected. I copied you, and I copied you on an email today, that I sent off an email to the Secretary of State. Did you get that?
I did see it, yeah.
Okay.
I did.
So I'm confused, and was able to be on the ballot in both of those positions. I have asked the Secretary of State for an opinion on that. I don't know if Floanne did. I don't have any idea about it. My concern is, what if the day came where that person would run and win both seats? You can't hold 2 seats up here with one body on a specific board. So I wanted clarification from myself now that it's happening, because I'm listening to what may happen again, and I think it's a little confusing, that's all. So,
I agree, Dave, and
Forest is online.
DeForest is on?
and I, thank you. And I remember, Dave, I took out 2 papers once. But when the time came, I had to choose which one of the seat, and it was here.
That is what I recall as well. So the practice that we used up until last year was that practice.
Yes.
A person who's interested in serving on any one of these boards that has a multi-seat board can take out a petition for each. But you could only submit one back in.
Correct.
That changed last year. So it could turn into something strange. I just wanted clarification from the Secretary of State elections. I fired that question up to him today.
Thank you. I appreciate that. You're still on your report.
Yep. Townwide reappraisal RFP. So an RFP to conduct a townwide reappraisal will be ready to advertise in the next coming weeks. I'll keep you updated as we move forward through that process. Also, you have the school district's warning here. We have two requests. The first is from Christine Bourne, the interim superintendent for the Windsor Southeast Supervisory Union. And she said, I was asked at the Weathersfield Select Board meeting if Weathersfield pre-K students count in the equalized pupil number. I met with Brad James at the state, and he has confirmed that students identified in the census data who are residents of Weathersfield and attend a public pre-K program do count in the equalized pupil number. Can you pass this information along to the select board for me?
Okay, that's. That says they count in the equalized pupil number, but for whom? For what town do they count? And that was a question that was proposed to me by one of our residents, Ethan McNaughton.
Okay. I'll ask her that question tomorrow.
Thank you.
And then we have a note here from Lisa Slade. I am unable to attend the meeting in person and probably can't watch on SAPA or online until after 7:30, so wanted to email regarding the warning. I was hoping, based on past discussion during select board meetings, an article would be on the warning to make Weathersfield exempt from charging business personal property tax. So, that's all I have for tonight.
In regard to that request, we'll take that up when we get to the budgets. That okay with everybody?
Well, can you take I think that might deserve something separate when you, about drafting town meeting articles or something. It's got nothing to do with the budget.
Well, 13 then, draft it?
I don't know, that's a very good suggestion, because I dropped the ball on it a year ago, and it never materialized, and I think there was a concern over many people, and I don't know how to craft that, because there was some talk about, well, what about several of the bigger ones, and their businesses, and not necessarily residents of Weathersfield, or something like that.
Up the limit.
I thought we were
But,
open
I know
on that.
that, so I think it deserves some chatter, that's all. So I think,
So that's what I'm saying.
Yep.
13, I think, draft town meeting articles.
yep.
We'll do it there. Lisa should be available by then. Perhaps it'll be, that will definitely be after 7:30, I would guess.
Yep.
Okay, is that it for you, Brandon?
Yep, that's it.
Quarter 2 finance report. That's still you, Brandon.
I have a question about the reappraisal. John Harrison called me, and he's getting updated. They're in Montpelier now meeting. He called me, I talked to him for a long time on Saturday. He said that there was, I can't remember everything what he said, but that there's at least 2/3 of the towns, and I think we know a little bit about this, that have to do reappraisals. He said something like 25% of those 65 had already started to undertake reappraisal. The state estimates in the next 2 years that will go up to almost every single town in Vermont will have to reappraise.
Did you talk to him about your idea?
Yes,
Because I
Yes.
talked to him about it.
yes.
What do you think?
Well, we need to have a bunch of discussion about it. I don't know if it's legal or what the listers do for their work, but
What was this idea?
well, do you want to put it on here to talk about?
I don't know, you just brought it up.
Yeah, well, it's got to do with reappraisal. So,
Obviously, that's what we're talking about, but
the list, when a sale of a house happens in Weathersfield, the listers do not plug in the new number of the house, the sale number. So let's say a house is on the market for 300,000, but it's on the grand list presently for 200,000. They still put the $200,000 number in there. They do not plug in the $300,000. So my suggestion was, why not put the $300,000 in there? You have a willing buyer and a willing seller. It would actually get the reappraisal much more closer as these sales actually close to the actual value of what the houses are. I don't know if there's something technical that the listers can't do that on. What would upset that procedure would be the coefficient of dispersion. So that is the value of a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, let's say in Weathersfield. And for someone who didn't sell, who lived here for 40 years, you'd be stuck on that. Meanwhile, those houses that sold that were 3-bedroom, 2-bath would keep climbing the ladder. It would never catch up until you had a reappraisal. I really wish And I would suggest that for anybody who's really interested, including myself, who's interested in keeping this reappraisal on track, that somebody consider being a lister in Weathersfield. We have lost the closeness of a resident being knowledgeable and being able to handle that information. We've shopped that out to a firm. You don't get that. So you don't get what I'm talking about by doing that. So that's it for that. So I don't know the answer. All I know is what John shared with me. He's now going on the state. I think it would be really important to. John got put on the corrections committee. He's no longer serving on the education committee for the state for us. There are 900 bills that are pending in the House.
Most will die in committee.
Yes. But, so it would really pay for us to have a close relationship with him, and they are, the per pupil cost that came down, so that's a good sign. So it looks like the state education tax will not be as horrific as it might be. We're gonna get into it all when we start talking about the budgets here, but that's all I wanted to share, that he told me about the percentages of reappraisal that's going on. There's only 2 or 3 firms that are credited to do the reappraisal in the state right now. It's going to be, he said it could take upwards of like 4 or 5 years. The scary part about it is we may not have enough money to do the reappraisal.
And by the time you get through that 4 or 5 years, it'll be time for everybody to just about start over again.
No, well, that's what he said about like another 2 years. Those other 35% that are still off there, it looks like it's sliding still. It's a statewide issue. The state understands what's going on here through COVID. A lot of people moved into Vermont for a bunch of different reasons, including not necessarily living here, but buying homes and turning them into Airbnbs. They're creating quite a different market dynamic with young people trying to buy homes. So it's a lot going on.
It goes back to what I said to John when he was here the last meeting, and that is that perhaps there's an issue with the formula that needs to be looked at on the state level.
Yeah, I don't know.
But anyway, thank you, Dave. Okay, so Q2 finance report, Brandon?
Yeah, overall, general fund revenues are at 55% and expenses are at 50%. If you go through the departments, I'll get to that in a second. I do have some concerns in regard to our legal expenses in the land use administrator's office and the lister's office. As of Q2, legal expenses are overexpended by $36.44 in the land use office and $67.01 in the lister's office. I also have some concerns about the Ascutney Volunteer Fire Department budget, and a meeting was called, and the chief and I met today, and we talked a little bit yesterday. They have expended 88% of their budget to date. I'm going to go through that a little bit here. So in the supplies account, they're currently, well, as of December 31st, it's $17,399 over budget. The budget for that account was $4,550. And actually, if you look into January, it's $21,000 over expended. I did talk to Darren about this account, and he stated that he had to purchase 10 radios at $1,336 a piece, because 12 of his radios are broken. So that accounted for $13,360 of that overage.
Can I ask a question, Mike?
Yes, sir.
Didn't we do something with, we got radios for them with money?
Those were different radios.
Okay. What are these other ones? The ones play music, or are they?
So,
I'm sure. Well, in order for us to understand, I need to know what they are.
I thought Darren would be here tonight, and unfortunately his uncle had passed away, and I'm thinking that's probably why he's not here tonight. But I do believe it's the portable radios, and the other radios that we purchased were the ones for the vehicles, and that was to communicate with state police.
Okay.
The second thing that you'll see in the budget is the oil contract. It shows that the fuel oil is expended in full at 5722. However, we entered into a contract for oil for a fixed cost. So we paid the 5722, but there's a credit on the account of a little over $3,000. The next, the vehicle maintenance account, which currently has a budget of $15,975, is over budget by $2,523.76. I talked to Chief Spalding about this, and he stated that the front end of the forestry truck was replaced to pass inspection, and that was $3,417. Engine 4, the torque arms on the rear end of the truck needed to be replaced, and then one of the trucks needed a computer replaced. The next account is the maintenance and repairs account, which has a budget of $10,825. That budget's nearly expended, and I talked to Chief Spalding about that, and he said 3 of his garage doors at the station needed to be replaced, and that was $4,600. He has concerns because his budget is almost spent for the year, and we're only 6 months through the year. His thermal imaging camera, his 20-year-old one, there's no parts available for that. And the 5-year-old thermal imaging camera is going out to be checked, and they're saying that it may be between $2,500 to $3,000 to be repaired. In addition, he has CO detectors that stopped working, which he believes will cost around $600, and all of his security cameras. Actually, I'll talk to you about that at a later date.
They're not working. Well, doesn't sound like a very good budget, does it?
Sure.
Do you want to stay
Go
here?
ahead, Dave.
Well, and this is, well, okay, so there's a couple of things wrong here, or whatever, I won't say wrong. This is a fallout from not having the fire commission. These items were worked out through either a board rep, and then they would bring it to us, and we don't want to micromanage, but if there's a certain amount, some of this stuff I'm listening to is what would be considered a repair under a little bit of extreme circumstance, but others not. Somebody's got to know that 10 radios they all don't just break on the day that they break. So somebody knew something that had to be replaced. That should have been a thoughtful purchase, I think.
I thought that's what Paul brought up.
Yeah, no,
which is
I know.
the other radios
Yeah.
were bought to replace these radios. That was,
I'm hearing lots of things, but I'm just trying to say about when the day of the fire commission came up, they would
Yeah.
meet and they would go over a little bit more, and then that kind of dissolved and the voters voted to get rid of it. But some of this that I'm listening to, though, has to do with planning or whatever on a reasonable thing, without micromanaging. So a certain amount of money has 10 or 15,000, whatever it is, for maintenance, and then you through the year are able to spend that. That's fine. However, some of it seems not to be the case. So my question to you would be, when, and I'm not going to pick on Darren because he's not here, and that's really not a good thing to do, because I've learned a bunch over everybody that's not here. You don't want to do that. But at what point does, and Ray is here, so it's fair, at what point do you say to a department head or to somebody like that, is there a threshold that you say, look, you got to come to me to spend a certain amount, or is it just like, okay, my truck is a blown rear end, I'm just going to get it fixed and give you the bill later? Because that seems to be what's happened here. Or a radio's break, I got a deal on 10 of them, so I just bought them and you didn't know about it, right?
So, as of right now,
all right, go ahead.
as of right now, the budget is nearly spent.
For repairs.
For almost the end, I mean, like the whole annual
Oh, yeah.
budget of the
But do
department.
they break down the definition of a repair to the trucks or is it supplies? Because a radio to me would be a supply, not necessarily a repair. You've defined some things here that don't seem to fit in to a truck. Like putting a front end in a truck is a little different than a radio.
Yeah, and in the repair, so in the vehicle maintenance budget, it's over expended by 23, and bigger expenses within that,
That 2,500?
2,500 over expended, is the front end replacement, vehicle maintenance, torque arms on the rear end of the truck, and a computer that needed to be replaced in the truck. So going through it, all of these are verified purchases that can be charged to the vehicle maintenance budget. It's just a lot of this stuff was unanticipated, and then he had it done, and now he's, you know, as of December 31st, it was 88% of the budget, but after reviewing it today, he only has about 5,000 or 6,000 left for the whole year.
Paul,
So to get back to your question, Dave, sorry.
go ahead.
At what point, I mean, the budget's almost spent, so I'm not sure what we're gonna do from here.
So three things, and I know I'm gonna piss people off and I don't care anymore, but, one, I don't think your committee was for what this is, cause I thought that was to make everybody play nice. Cause remember.
No, they
nobody
would
plays
do a
nice.
lot of talking about
Yeah.
machinery or dry hydrants, planning.
Yeah.
No, it had to,
I saw a lot of minutes on that too, because Chauncey took the minutes. But anyways, secondly, I think Darren needs to come back with a little bit of a budget on what he feels for the rest of the year, because we got to know, and it's going to have to be pretty damn tight on what's there. But the third thing is, and this is where I'm probably going to upset some people, but we have a budget for scouting, a budget for West Weathersfield. Where's West Weathersfield's budget? Because we're still all one town. We're still all one fire department. I don't care whether we have West Weathersfield or here. So how much money's left over there?
So West Weathersfield Fire Department at the 6-month mark has expended 52% of their budget.
Okay, so they're on track. So,
When I talked to Brendan about this earlier, I had him back out, there's $3,000 that's actually a credit. It was a purchase of oil, and they paid it all up front. So as they move forward, getting oil changes, I guess that's what that's for, oil changes? Or oil for
I
what?
think it's for the building.
Is it?
It's fuel oil for
Fuel,
heat.
okay. So they paid $5,000 for oil, but they've only used $2,000. So there's a credit coming there where we're gonna get bills and that won't affect the budget.
I agree with
So
David.
that's three. And then there's that 17,000, which is the expense for the radios. So there's basically 20 grand. You pull that back and you get down to, what was it, 70?
Around 70%.
Around 70%, because he's still got some other overages. And, you know, the first thing that's glaring to me right now is that there isn't anybody here from that department.
No, I know.
With knowing that this is going on.
that's,
They are a 501c3.
Well,
By
yeah.
501c3 law and regulation under the IRS, you're required to have a chair or a president, vice president, treasurer, and a clerk. Those three things are required. You have to file them for your status. So there ought to be a treasurer, and they could be here if Darren couldn't. And they ought to be keeping an eye on the budget and discussing these things with whoever's spending the money over at that department. I'm not too upset over the things like Dave said. Most of these things were necessary. I get that, but you got to come here. In some instances, I think there's and how we've set that. I don't know. We do have contracts coming up with these departments. The one thing I want to be, and I talked to Brendan about this, and one thing I want to be careful about is if we put something in place to control one department, is the other department going to start to feel that we're punishing them? They're on target. You know, but the answer to that is, well, eventually, somewhere along the line, there will be different leadership, and there needs to be a process in place that everybody follows. And it's not a punishment for anybody. It's just we gotta have control of this if we brought it in house. Dave, you got anything else on this? Paul?
no, I just don't. We need to know what we're going to do, because we can't let them run out of money. Pay for fuel. And, I mean,
Well, it's
so-
an ongoing budget, so I think
Right.
I think we learned about it. I think we should get on with the regular 23-24 budget, and then now we know about it, and we gotta figure it out.
And Brandon, you're in charge of the money. Well, we're in charge of the money. You're in charge of the office. I would say, tell them not to fix anything else right now without talking to you and us or somebody.
Yep.
he's gonna have to lock down some stuff.
Yeah, we can put it on the next agenda for discussion. I'll go back through the budget, meet with Darren, figure out necessary expenditures for the rest of the year, and then,
I wanna know a couple things, like what happened with the doors, is that something we could do with ARPA? Paul?
Yeah, and my other thing, like, he's talking about thermal cameras, right? West Weathersfield have thermal cameras?
Just bought a new one.
So that's a no-brainer. They go to the call if they need one. I mean, this one town here,
Gonna have-
I'm not playing games back and forth.
I said the same thing,
So-
gonna have to work
So they're
together
not
and
gonna.
wait until
they're
next
not
year's
gonna
budget to
vote
fix
for one
that.
of those right now.
Yeah, but
Call the other
is it
department.
buying a new one cheaper than it is to fix it?
that's,
I
he
mean,
said
if
it
you
was
pay-
another $1,000 to buy a new one. So it's almost this,
No, that happens. I mean,
Yeah.
with stuff. I'm not worried about that. What I'm saying is the town has one.
Yeah.
And we can share.
And the town has a budget,
That's
of
right.
which the fire department is part of. And, you know, we have to, we oversee that. So, yeah. All right,
all right, other departments that are a little bit over where they should be is the listers department, and that's because of that $6,700 expense for legal. So, you know, like I was saying before, I do have some concerns about these legal expenses, and you know, we should talk about that at another meeting.
my question would be, are these, like the land use office and lister's office, are these things that are, is the lister's office a cost of contracted service and and land use, is that, some of the legal stuff that we were going through over the last couple of years?
Yep, several of the cases that we've been working on, and, you know, we have a different town council, there's a different fee structure.
That's what I
Oh,
was
yeah,
wondering.
yeah,
I was
yeah.
wondering if the fee went up or if we had more expensive.
It did.
I don't think that our previous town council is billing us like we're being billed now.
But there's two other things. It's very unusual that we had a case that went to the listers in court where we were in Superior Court twice, or maybe even 3 times.
Yes.
And we went to the Board of Civil Authority to visit the site and everything, and then the person can choose to do that. I saw that was the one legal bill alone shipped to the listers department.
Yeah,
That bill that you got.
6701.
So maybe, since you just said what you said, that you might want to do a little, when you're going to meet with the other town managers,
Yep,
find out what they do for council.
okay.
Very well put.
All right,
There's a lot of fish in the sea, is that what we're saying?
Thank you very much.
Not sure.
other than that, you know, the library is at 46%, the administration budget is right at 50%, which is right where we should be for the 6-month mark. Finance is at 33%, town clerk is at 54%, and the additional 4% has been addressed. Land use is at 54%, and that's due to the increased legal fees. And West Weathersfield Fire Department's at 52%, and that's mainly due to a 2% in fuel. So, any questions about the general fund? All right, moving to the highway fund. Overall, the highway fund is in good shape. Expenditures are at 47%, and revenues are at 55%. We will collect $9,281 more in state aid to highway at year end than budgeted. Solid waste fund, fixed revenues are at 109%. This is expected. When the Tri-Town partnership went into effect, the town of West Windsor began contributing, and Reading's assessment increased based on the formula we developed in July. We recommended the $50 sticker cost remain the same, although we could have lowered it. We have a cumulative deficit we needed to chip away at, so we raised an additional $10,000 in variable. We raised an additional $10,949. Variable revenues seem to be on track. We've collected 52% of our fixed revenues as of Q2. Fixed expenses are at 68%. The reason for this is because the finance department booked highway service, highway support, and town office support in full during the month of December. So, It's basically like we've pre-booked 6 months of expenses there. So otherwise they would have to do one half now and one half later. 2 entries or monthly 12 entries. So I think it's fine that they booked it in full now. If we back out 50% of this expense, which is 21,000, which is where we actually are as of December 31st, our fixed expenses are right at 50%. So that's really good news for the transfer station. This is right where we should be. If we divide our fixed revenues by 2, similar to the support from highway and the general fund, we have a net positive of $5,100 in fixed revenue expense as of December 31st. Variable expenses are at 48%. I talked to Tom Kennedy about Alva Waste increasing their hauling fees. He said it's safe to say that fees will increase, but Alva Waste has been holding back on doing this. I'm not sure how long he'll be able to do that, but as of right now, we have a small net positive variable revenue expense as of December 31st of $7,600.
Does this mean that the increase in sticker thing for 28 cents or 30 cents is still on the table in the upcoming budget?
That's the FY24 budget. We're just pushing through this year, and that's our position right now.
Well, it just looks like our position is pretty good. Like we're not generating any more.
Negative.
Yes, we're not
Yes.
going backwards.
It is in a positive, but
Yeah.
that, as everybody that's sitting here knows, that could change
Okay,
in a month. So
okay. Well, it's good for now.
it is.
Okay, is that it?
That's it.
Fire truck loan approval.
I have a question about solid waste.
Oh, I'm sorry, go.
Have you met with the other 2 towns and shared this information with them as far as the year end or whatever is going on?
Yep.
Okay, good.
Yep.
So that's been part of the problem before, so you've always,
Communication.
you shared this information that we're kind of like in
Yep.
even.
Yep,
Okay.
and we actually meet quarterly, and we change the location each quarter. So like one quarter we'll meet here, another quarter we'll meet in West Windsor, the next we'll meet in Reading, and it just keeps rotating.
We just met in Reading, didn't we?
Yeah, we just met in Reading, the last one. The next one's here, and then the one after that is in West Windsor.
Good.
Thank you. Fire truck loan approval.
So Steve Heyer wasn't able to make it tonight, but he did give me the loan documents here. So what we would be asking for is to have the board vote to approve and sign the loan with Mascoma Bank for the amount of $270,000 at an interest rate of 4% for 7 years. In the last motion, Mr. Tillman asked to add the words for capital equipment for a fire truck. So I think we'd do the same for this one. Following that vote, if approved, I have paperwork here for you to sign. And the town clerk also attached her notary book, so each selector would sign next to their name.
Motion to approve the fire truck loan from Mascoma Bank for 7 years at a rate of 4% fixed, in the amount of $270,000.
Here a second.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded to authorize the select board to purchase a fire truck, cost not to exceed $325,000, $270,000 to be financed from Mascoma Bank at a rate of 4%. That is the motion.
Well,
Any
then
discussion?
well, the motion is for 7 years, so we want to get
7
that
years.
clear for
Yep,
for the treasurer.
thank you.
It's noted by the treasurer.
Yeah, for 7 years. Any discussion? Paul, you weren't here at the last meeting. We're moving this from M&T to Mascoma.
Yeah, no, yeah, thank
Caught
you.
up-
though.
you caught up
They
on
lowered the rate.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
absolutely.
You want to do that signing now, or you want to wait till after the meeting to do it?
Yeah, the treasurer would like to do it during the meeting.
Oh, he'd like it done during the meeting?
Yep.
Okay. And this will take, there's more than one thing that we're signing though, correct?
We gotta have a vote.
Yeah, yeah, that'd be good.
Oh, no, go ahead, son.
Is there any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you all for keeping me straight.
If you could sign here.
It's supposed to be black.
Next.
It might be. No? I know Flo Anders said something about it before, the ink.
There.
I don't know, I have blue.
I have black here.
And
Black, I don't know why.
Usually comes up on a copy here as black, you can't tell this.
I've heard about it before. Are you racing? I didn't sign anything. He's signing them all 14 over here by himself. This fire truck's gonna have Hawks Mountain on it.
Motorworks.
Exactly.
Somewhere over here it says something about Fuller Farm too, right? I think it's right there. Right where the arrow is, it points right to it.
Yeah, that arrow's gonna go through like sideways.
and then the last signature I need is right next to your name there.
I
for the
think we're
notary.
signing way more than
I
we
know.
did last
This is
time.
the oath up,
Last time I
And
think
that's
we
all we
signed it in
need is
3
the
spots.
signature,
Yep.
right here.
14 signatures, look at them all.
There you go.
And Dave, here's a black pen. Please send that back. Well, no, I've got the blue one now, so it doesn't matter. I can take notes in blue.
You got, so we gotta go follow all
Yep.
these?
And then the next pink one, and everywhere where you see pink.
Gosh.
We're not on the hook for any of this, right?
I hope not personally.
No.
I'm gonna, I need to have my lawyer look it over first.
If I'm on the hook for it personally, I'm taking it home. I've got some things I wanna do.
Well, that price
Yeah,
should
so
come
we
with
got
the
it.
thermal imaging
Oh,
camera.
Dave, this one, you missed this one.
Okay.
I'll be a fire truck for hire. It could be in this town, it seems.
And the final
Missed
one.
this one.
Thank you for coming in.
Those here.
Right here. And if you could just read the oath
Okay,
silently to yourself.
I do.
All right.
I did.
It's the oath for us.
Is this for the bank, or no, this is for the
Yeah, it's for the
record for the
bank. They needed
treasurer?
it
Anytime we
notarized.
borrow money in excess of 5 years, there has to be a statement. It's supposed to be published in the paper 3 times, costs like $2,000.
Yep.
What we're signing is a statement that vote took place at the town meeting and correct, is that correct, Brandon? That summarize it?
Thank
Brandon?
you.
Yes.
It's a little concerning for
My name's
the,
already on there. Do I have to sign it again?
Yeah, sign it right to the right of your name.
Someone already signed my
you
name.
signed for something else. It's a little concerning. Do you know what this truck would cost now, if we ordered it now?
No.
So the total cost of this truck was $325, $450.
Yeah.
It's moved up to $450 right now. I don't know how we're gonna be buying things in the future. I just don't. It's gonna be really hard to figure things out. I see we have a capital equipment purchase plan or whatever, it's all gonna line up. I mean, maybe that's the reason why Steve asked to put this on for 7 years. Normally, when anybody buys anything, you know, depending on how you frame it, it's got to do with the payment each year. This is gonna be $50,000, right?
Yeah.
No, it won't, I guess it won't be, not for 7, 270. We're borrowing
45, 48, no, 54.
right next to
Isn't it
your name.
54? It's in the budget.
50 times 7 would be 350, and we're only asking for 270.
Yeah, but you got interest.
Yeah, but it won't be that much. It won't be that much. Still, to have another 125,000 added on to the principal cost of anything is a lot.
I didn't do that part.
All right, gentlemen, we're
No, I
ready
don't
to
know.
move forward.
Ready?
You all set?
Yep.
Okay. Next one is transfer $2,500 for the police cruiser reserves. This is the money that we get in the
The grant?
grant, and we transfer quarterly an X amount to buy a cruiser.
What was, it's not in any order here, so on our screen, we don't have it. The next thing would have been highway mileage, Brandon. What is the grant? Happy to make the motion, but I'd like to know the grant that it's coming from.
So that was the $2,500 from the police department, the $10,000 for the police cruiser.
What's the name of the
It's
grant?
through the SIU grant. but The
SIU.
way that we did it has to come from the police department budget to reserves.
But the police department was funded through the SIU grant.
So
Correct.
the way that it's done financially is, we expensed the eligible expenses, which was explained when we when we did this several months ago.
So this is the second time we've done this?
Yep.
Okay, good. I'll make the motion that we transfer $2,500 from the police budget. The police FY 22-23 budget of $2,500 to police
cruiser,
car reserve account. So are there two police accounts on reserve or no? Or is it just one? Just one, okay.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to transfer $2,500 from the police 2023 budget to the police cruiser reserves. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Thank you. Contracted services land use, and Ryan has come in, as I requested him to, so he would be here to answer any questions you might have, if need be.
Was this certificate of highway mileage part of Brandon's report or not?
I'm not sure where that snuck in there from. I know he told,
I did mean to put that on the agenda, but we can do it in the next meeting.
you want to do it under any other business deemed appropriate?
Sure.
I don't see that on here, but it can be.
Is it time sensitive? I just don't get it out of the way. You guys do it every year.
Yeah. Is it correct?
Everything looks good?
Yeah, there is a road that we discussed in, I'm putting a report together with the people that live on the road and other people that are involved in it to come back to you. We might have to adjust it later, but for right now, we can sign it.
I move we approve the certificate of highway mileage in the highway department as part of the town manager report with the date of year ending February 10th, 2023, as noted.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Accept the highway certificate, year ending February 10, 2023. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, it's done. Now we're to you, sorry. Brandon, and Ryan, does everybody know Ryan?
Hey, Ryan.
Go ahead, guys.
So the planning commission did take up the land use administrator's request to change his employment structure from employee to contracted services. In the current fiscal year, there will be a cost savings of $500, and during the next fiscal year, there'll be a cost difference of $1,267. Beneath that is a chart that demonstrates the FY23 budget, so that's where we are right now. The FY24 budget, if we were to keep an employee arrangement, and then the FY24 contracted arrangement. So those are the differences in how the structure would take place. According to page 3 of the purchasing policy, attachment 1, 3 types of service purchases are exempt from the bid and quotation process, which include the following: repairs on equipment owned by the town that are preventing the department from performing their everyday functions, service contracts, purchases made subject to existing contracts. This would be considered a service contract, which is a contract that directly engages the time and effort of a contractor whose primary purpose is to perform an identifiable task rather than to furnish an end item of supply. A service contract may be either a non-personal or personal contract. It can also cover services performed by either professional or non-professional personnel, whether on an individual or organizational basis. So the Planning Commission did sign this letter, and there was a statement at the end that says, "We see no issue in moving forward with this change and are not concerned with whether we employ a contracted land use administrator or an employment agreement with a land use administrator, so long as the job description does not change, nor the level of service provided."
And can I make a quick comment on that?
Go.
Obviously, Mike and I both are on the planning commission. I am the chair of the planning commission, and there's a couple of questions that I'm going to ask here as a select board member. But that vote and that description and all that was based on services that we need as a planning commission. So, as far as the whole town, everything else that could be included, you might want to. The board here should be asking those kind of questions and making sure of how they want to go about doing that. So, but from a planning commission standpoint, we're comfortable with doing this, what we need. Is the other groups like, the ZBA, did they meet and do any of this? And sign any of this stuff? No?
No.
Okay, do they know what's going on too?
We didn't discuss it at the most recent meeting.
Okay,
Did not?
No.
because that affects them, correct?
Go ahead.
Well, the position, all the services and everything wouldn't change, so it wouldn't affect them in that sense.
And the request for it to go to the planning commission came from Dave, and I think it's partially from.
Came from who?
From Mr. Fuller. Or this, or whatever. The statute, the statutory requirement is the planning commission and the select board need to be on the same page. And as I explained it at the planning commission, I didn't see it as being a vetting process, as that's already happened with this individual. It's not changing of
Right,
individuals.
the person's not.
So,
Um,
yeah, so,
But like I said, I do have some questions if I can.
yeah, go.
So, obviously, and I did ask this at the planning commission, I'm just gonna reiterate it here. The company that we're gonna service this out with, or possibly could service this out with, are they normally in the business of servicing out land use administrator people?
No,
No.
not
Did they
traditionally.
have any other land use administrator people in their employment?
No.
Okay, so this is strictly you, and that's it. So if something did happen to you where this is not a company that would be continuing to use or anything of that nature?
I'm the only person in the firm that's in this area.
Yeah, okay. Oh, okay, and for that, from a forestry standpoint. Now, the other quick thing is, it sounded like that possibly we could utilize more hours from you by having it go this route, correct?
Yes.
Up to maybe 10 or so on and so forth?
Yeah,
If need
basically
be.
by request,
Okay, and why would that be different than now?
because currently I work 55 hours with my 40-hour work week, or more than that.
Gotcha.
For forestry, 15 hours on top of it, so I don't have more time to
So
put
by
into work.
contracting through these guys, they would take your services that you normally contract with them,
Mhm.
go through them, and they would lessen that to allow you to do more here.
Right, so if you requested work beyond the 15 hours, then I would bill that at the hourly rate.
Would that mean you work 60 hours for them, or would you stay within like the 50, 55? 40?
Yeah, basically I'm salaried on a 40-hour basis. I typically work more than that, so it fluctuates. I don't know if I have a cap on how many hours, but certainly it could be beyond 15, and on a not regular basis. If there's a 10 or 15 hours extra, that would be considered an individual project. If the town wanted more than 15 hours, that could be something to discuss.
So you're gonna lose money on this, sounds like.
My typical hourly rate is higher than this, but I guess the benefit is that it's a regularly occurring bill. I don't have, most of my projects are, I work for a week on a project and then I have to go find more work. So that's kind of one of the benefits of structuring it. But no, I wouldn't be losing money on it. Personally, on my household level, I would be, because I'm basically just getting my salary. But this would contribute to my business's revenue.
And one of the other things we found out at the planning commission is it looks like that the principal clerk is going to be assisting the land use more.
Yes.
So her duties have increased.
Where's that?
Is that true?
Her duties have increased?
Have they increased by now having the helping with the land use?
Well, the accountant came in and then we restructured the office to put more time into the land use office. So
With the principal clerk?
I removed some duties and then I
Okay.
delegated additional duties to fill that gap, basically. But no, her hours haven't changed.
No, but what I meant was that you answered it. You took some away and gave her some more of something else. So absolutely.
For example, she's not here tonight.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Go.
So why would we do this? Because if it's gonna cost more money as a contracted firm, and I'm not hearing any change in hours, but it's gonna cost more money, why would anybody do it? Including like myself. If I was home and I said, okay, I have a service that I'm already doing, I'm hiring somebody to do it, and it's $1,267 more expensive to have a service do it, why would I do that? Who came up with this proposal? Why would you support something that's gonna cost more money for the same hours?
This is something that Ryan has asked for personally. And I mean, I don't know, is it one of those things where what if it doesn't go through tonight, what happens?
I think the number of hours that I'm working, just in general, on a personal level, is not a sustainable amount. So it basically makes this a viable option for the long term for myself.
Well, if the town is going to entertain a road that we've already started to travel with the listers, you did it, the administration did it last year with the finance, you farm out businesses, then I think that it is well up to this board or the administration to also shrink the administration. The duties have then been off your table and out of you won't have jurisdiction over an employee if you don't have the employee. So you can save on, we've already done it with 2 listers, did it all last year with the finance, one was absent. So you don't have to take payroll out, you don't have to take taxes, vacation, there's nobody that has to keep charting of all that. You just have a big bill coming in at $50 an hour and see you later. It's a contracted thing. So the administration should shrink if you're talking about having a service shopped out.
The other side of this for me is we're only getting 15 hours as a land use administrator. That job typically has been 22, 24, 28 hours or more. It used to be it was full-time, even though it wasn't supposed to be. It got brought back to part-time. But what would that budget look like if it was 28 hours a week for an employee?
I mean, we'd be looking at, for 20 hours a week?
For 28.
For 20, I mean, we'd be looking at a significant cost increase.
'Cause you're not gonna get somebody else to come in that I am aware of for 15 hours.
And that's what I'm saying. Most employees, they want full-time work, which includes benefits. Whereas under the current arrangement, the job gets done, and you know, I haven't had any complaints from residents as far as availability. You know, Olivia's filling in the day-to-day, and then we have the land use administrator that comes in and gets the work done on Wednesdays. So this structure, based on everything that I've reviewed, is, you know.
Is this 15 out across here? I'm looking at your screen up on the computer, on the screen. Is it, all of these are equal though? 15 hours, 15 hours, and 15 hours?
Yes.
So it's true that it adds money by contracting the service rather than keeping it just as an employee.
I mean, we could go back to the table and reduce it by 1267 if the 1267 is your concern.
Do you understand what I said about shrinking the employees? The workload is shrunk if you don't have to keep track of vacation. You don't have an employee anymore. We've already done that for 2 listers. They're not here anymore. They're not in the building. So if you're gonna do it with land use, we already did it, but I know that you've hired a new finance person. That was also a contracted service for a long time. You don't have to keep track of things. So that is less work that the administration has to do because you're paying
It's the same amount of work.
how?
Because you're already running payroll and you're already doing all the taxes for all the other employees.
I get that, but
So
on a
unless you-
percentage basis, it's
But you're just taking one line out, it
Yes.
doesn't stop the process.
I didn't say about the process. I talked about if you have 20 employees,
Yep. I
you,
think,
you used to have 24. That means you have 4 less. In my book, that's,
I guess you'd have to actually
10 or
do the
15%
work to be
less.
able to understand that all the same modules still need to be run and balanced. There's not a reduction in work.
there has to be a benefit to this for me. So, and I don't know that I'm seeing.
I can tell you what the benefit is.
Yeah.
It's not losing a land use administrator.
Right.
And having to either move to a, somewhere between 24 and 32 hours a week and 40 hours a week, which is definitely gonna cost us more money. I'm gonna say something, and I'm gonna look at Ryan when I say this, because Ryan and I have had some tense moments, let me put them that way, where I'm just frustrated with him getting his feet under him. And that's all it's been. And everything he's done he's been pretty darn good at. And it's not even a complaint. I just wanted to be honest with you. You know what I'm talking about. And you know, he's come along very well. He's worked very hard. He's worked, DeForest has helped out.
I can't say the same thing.
Things are getting organized. Well, that's okay. Things are getting organized from our standpoint. Paul's the chair of the planning commission. He can respond to this. You know, we're able to come into meetings and have documentation, and things are in order, and things are moving forward, and are getting straightened out. We had a mess because we kept transitioning from one to another, from one to another. We lost one, we got one. We lost one, we got one. We lost one, we moved on. And, you know, things have been a mess. And they're starting to get straightened out. And that's because Ryan's doing his job. I can say that.
Well, we can
Paul?
we can kick this off. I'm gonna make a motion that, that we change the LEUA position from, employee agreement to contracted services. Do we need the actual? No, okay. So,
Motion's been made and second.
Oh,
Motion's been made. Is there a second? I'll second the motion for discussion. Any discussion?
Yes, there's been no opportunity granted for another business to provide the same proposal.
It doesn't need to under service contracts.
That doesn't, you don't understand what I just said.
RFP?
No, I didn't say put out an RFP. I just said this is the first time that the town has considered changing this to a contracted service rather than employee. And we don't know what we don't know. We don't know that there are other companies out there to provide that same service, similar to what we found out with the listers. Didn't know.
What I said at the planning commission is I see this as an internal change anyway, that the town manager basically could have done. I'm not even sure it requires our approval, because it's just an internal, you know, other than the dollar signs, you know, it has to do with the budget, but that happens later on anyway. He submits a budget. We don't run the office, he does.
I don't think that has anything to do with what I just said. I'm talking about a structural change of a department
Yep.
from an employee to a contracted service, and not affording that to go out to public, saying that we are announcing that a public service, hear ye, will be changing. That's what we haven't done.
I would agree with that if we didn't have somebody in the place already. Right?
So from what I've seen, the going rate for consulting planning services is typically over $100, maybe $120, $150 an hour. So, and certainly if it was to go out to bid, I would bid a much higher hourly rate.
What do we pay you now an hour? Can I
What's that?
ask? What do we pay him now an hour? What do you
I
average out to be?
think it's somewhere around $32.
And that's your hourly wage. And then on top of that is, as an employee, workman's compensation insurance.
Yeah, you have workers' comp,
Taxes.
unemployment, FICA,
We pay all that for him now?
yes.
We do.
So everything you're seeing under FY twenty-three is
Yeah.
precisely what we're paying now. FY twenty-four is what it would be with an 8% increase. And the FY twenty-four contracted is what it will be if we change to contracted services.
But this doesn't give $1 an hour at anywhere in here. I don't see any dollar per hour.
Paul?
Yeah, there is $1 per hour in the contract thing, which was not included.
Where is it?
No, hold on. It wasn't in here, is what I was getting at.
Oh, is it not there?
I don't see it here. We have it, we have the contract, we have all that with the planning commission. Cause it's already, it would be contracted in at a set amount for like the extra 10 hours if needed be, and so on and so forth.
It was
That in
$40,
last week's,
was,
I think.
was $40 an hour, correct?
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, it's $40 an hour for 15 hours, and that's a fixed fee,
Right.
which is, I think it's $2,600.
But if you take the FY twenty-four total employee cost of 29,933, and you divide it by 52 and divide that by 15, you're gonna get a very close number to the FY twenty-four contracted, because we won't be paying FICA, workers'
What is
comp,
it?
unemployment. You want me to give that to you?
Yeah.
Okay. The total cost of employment is basically what we refer to it as.
And Mike, if I can, while he's
52.
figuring the numbers out,
Okay, so as
He's quick.
an
Yes.
employee, it's $38.37. As a contractor, it's 40.
So $1.63?
Yep.
But those are based on strictly a 15-hour week.
Yep.
What I'm hearing is an expansion,
if needed.
and it's not gonna be budgeted.
I don't think we're doing an expansion.
Well, I just saw some eyebrows go up.
There's,
My
there's
eyebrows
three-
go up most of the time.
there's 3,000,
So,
there is $3,000 in the land use budget for contracted services. So you could go, $3,000 over the current budget.
right now, nobody's asking for more time. What it is allowing is for that to happen. Now, granted, to exactly what Dave was saying, though, if it's not budgeted, we'll end up just like Scotty Fire, where all of a sudden now we got money that's not in there. So we have to be careful of that. But there was extra money put aside for special projects that is incorporated.
There's $3,000 in contracted services that we would be using as a contingency. So if.
You guys have obviously had conversations that I haven't been involved with. I
It
mean,
was
you're
at the
throwing
planning.
out
It
these-
was at the planning commission meeting.
You guys have had conversations that I haven't been aware of. That's part of my problem making the decision tonight. That's why I'm objecting. If you, that's part of the, both of you guys' conflict with the planning board at this table
You've
making
never
the
had conversations prior to the meetings?
further this,
So,
not like this.
well, let me,
It's just numbers.
let me.
Well, but you just admitted, three of you, the manager and two members of the planning board, admitted that you guys knew about the internal workings of, we can shove this money over here for contracted services to payroll,
So-
whatever.
so-
I'm telling you that I didn't know that.
Oh, hold on a minute, hold on.
I thought you knew the budgets better than that.
I mean,
Go.
I'm gonna say I thought you knew the budgets better than, and then Dave, as the chair, you're the one that dropped it from you're the one that wanted it dropped from 40 hours down to a lower, hour. And you also are the one that recommended, which was a great idea, to say, okay, well, we're gonna put some extra money in here for special services. That was you. So-
That's fine.
So you know that was there, cause you.
Thank you for reminding
No,
me.
I'm just saying.
Well,
So, and now, I just want people to be aware too that,
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a point of
No.
order.
I'm not done
I'd
yet.
like to make a point of order, Mr. Chairman.
Point of order.
I think I'm guilty of it as well, as to addressing comments to individuals here. Individual, comments should be made to the chair.
That's fine.
I'm getting a little sick of being he said, she said right now. I'm in the middle of finding out information that I'm telling you that I didn't get. This is the first that's come to the table for a discussion. That's all I'm saying.
Paul.
Now I'm being reminded about what I should know and what I didn't know.
Okay.
I think that's
Point of order.
unfair.
Paul?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to first say that the discussions that we did have, I just want people to be aware that that was in a public meeting of the planning commission. It was not like we all sat down and talked about stuff outside of a meeting. So that was there. The minutes are online, and the stuff's in there for that. So, like I said, and this isn't the first time this came, it did come to the board before, and it was the week that I wasn't here, and it was asked to go back to the planning commission, so it's been in the packet twice to look at.
And I, as chair, have conversations with him about
So that's all.
almost everything, so,
Just saying.
I mean, that's, you know, part of being in this chair. I didn't discuss this with any other board members outside of any meetings. So there is motion on the floor. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of the motion? The motion is to, change the LUA land use administrator position from an employee agreement to contracted services.
If you're saying that it doesn't take us to do it, then why are we voting on it?
Well, that's a good question. Brandon wanted this to come before the board so that the board wasn't surprised by it. And I agreed with him that that was a good idea. But I do think that this is an internal change that, other than the budget, voting on the budget, which is what we do, we don't run the office, the internal office. That's, we heard the words earlier, micromanage. That's not our job.
Can I ask just one more question on this whole
Go.
thing? And I'm sorry, Ron, I'm gonna put you on the spot, because it's gonna help with this vote. If this vote goes down today, what happens?
Well, basically, I need to reconsider the way that I structure everything. I really enjoy the job, and I don't want to see the same problem happen in the office. So probably, I guess, without thinking about it too much, would probably look like an interim land use administrator and try to find someone to fill the seat. But it basically, the current structure doesn't work for me long term.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Go.
I just listened to you say, I just listened to the land use administrator, Mr. Chairman, say that the current structure doesn't work and there was a problem. I'd like to hear what that problem was, or is. I heard before that it was 15 hours, and a scheduling issue with the work, but that's been going on. So it sounded like I just heard that there's more of a problem than what was.
So I guess the problem is on personal level. I have 2 children and a wife, and I don't spend that much time with them. And with the amount of hours that I have to work, it's basically I start my day at 5 and then get home for dinner, and then the kids go to bed. So to some extent, the major part of it is a personal life improvement. And it's just not sustainable for my personal life to work 55 hours at this point.
But how would that change?
Because I would only be working 40 hours.
That's what I heard, and that's why I asked if it was gonna cost you money.
This basically, it becomes, I work for my forestry company. I took on this extra job at a time where I needed some extra work, and it worked out well. And I put in the time and realized that I need to have more flexibility to tend to my personal life.
In other words, Dave, he currently works 40 hours. He would reduce that 40 hours that he works for his company by 15 hours. And then he would build this 15 hours into that 40 hours. And then he would no longer work over 40 hours, the additional 15.
Thank you for sharing that. On a very personal note, I don't think that's gonna work out. I don't see how it can.
Why?
Because if you're talking about like, I'm agreeing with you when you just said it's a lot less money, that's probably gonna happen, and we may be in the same boat, the way that works out. How can somebody be doing 55 hours and being compensated for 55 and then drop to 40 and then make only $1,000 more money?
Well, I kind of agree with you, David, and I see what you're saying. However, like Bon Jovi says, it's my life. That's his life.
Yeah, I don't really feel comfortable getting into my personal finances.
No, I didn't mean to, but you just drew the picture and Brandon helped out on what that picture looked like to,
But if,
This is a structure that I proposed because it works for my family.
and that's what I have to go on. That's it. For that part of that for that question. If it works for him, it works for him.
then I have one more comment, and I think that I'm agreeing that the administration, at this particular moment, I think the board would be well advised not to change the structure of this component, that the manager should be given the ability to do what he wants to do to fit that need, but if that does not work out, that the structure is still in place for the land use to operate as an employee.
So to give me the
Without a motion, the
flexibility
board-
to go either way.
What?
Yes. It gives you the oversight totally to do this, and if it don't work, to stop it. Is that correct,
Yeah,
Dave?
he has a public request from an employee to change his work schedule. I'm not gonna oppose that.
That's it. We don't need a vote. So,
I think the vote should still take place.
well, I'm actually gonna agree with Dave that the vote doesn't need to take place because
A vote's gonna take place on the funding later on.
Exactly.
Through the general fund budget.
Right. We're gonna authorize it. That's what I told you in the beginning. And I appreciate, and I hope the board appreciates what I was saying is, don't just do this behind your back. I don't like operating that way.
I'm gonna take this as what Brandon did with the finance department. We funded the finance department, he shopped it out, and then, at some point, it didn't work out, or whatever that did, and he advertised, and it's back to a personal
Okay.
position.
That's fair.
That's where I'm at.
Right, so just leave it the way it is, which means it's pretty much a done deal. It's between you two at this point,
I'll catch up with you tomorrow.
Sounds good, thank you.
okay?
Exactly.
Yes.
No, it's fine. That way, it's in place for whatever, he's gonna work through an employee situation.
Would you please rescind the motion?
Do I have to?
You don't, but if it stays on the table, we have to bring it back. It could always come back anyway.
If you take away your second, it's unseconded. The motion will die with lack of a second. Just call me Mr. Roberts Rules.
There you go, Mr. Roberts rules.
Yeah,
Mr.
I don't mind taking it away.
Okay, I'll rescind the second, you rescind the
Just
motion.
being
I'll
difficult.
resist.
I just want to clear the table, because we can always come back to it if we need to.
We're gonna take it up on the budget for the general fund.
Okay, thank you for coming in, right? Thank you, Brandon. You look tired tonight,
Do I really?
a little bit.
Oh, I don't feel tired.
It's all those, okay. Thank you all. General fund budget, fiscal year
Thank you all. We're done.
2024 general fund budget.
Mike, if I may, Dave, I just want to thank you for, that was a good option, so,
Well, listen to Ryan.
no, thank you.
And I don't understand, I'm glad that it went out that frankly.
Yep.
And that was a good solution.
Last time, so.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Use them. Stop giving me.
We're expected to read this?
Another tree?
I need a magnifying glass, look
Oh
at
my
this.
God.
What happened here?
Well, that's the best you can do.
That's the best who can do.
It's just I printed, so if you have any questions, I
Can
want to
you
write
read
it down next to
Only
this.
the first
I want you
page,
to
it's
know
tiny.
Olivia was not here, Brandon did this.
Sorry. We do have one, alright, so,
His eyes
FY
aren't
24
old.
budget. Alright, you can go to the next slide.
Hey, Mr. Chairman, I have a suggestion.
Yes.
Can we just, I see the next one in line is the general fund budget, right?
Yes.
I know that's gonna get, a lot more talk than the solid waste budget.
You wanna go there first?
Yeah, because I'm gonna make a motion that we approve this FY '24 solid waste
We
budget
didn't
as
wanna do it
presented.
without you last time.
I'll second that.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes,
Appreciate it.
because he puts all the time in, and then
I
I
wanted to
called him and I
approve it
asked
last
him
time and
whether
they
they
wouldn't let
met.
me 'cause
So
you
that
weren't
was
here.
really speed things up.
You called him before the meeting?
Because I wanted to know about solid waste.
You had some good questions.
Well, I asked him whether he,
But I don't know what they are.
So even though
oh, yes, I did, I brought him up at the last meeting.
hey, even though we razz each other, we still have good questions.
I'm okay.
So
Making a motion, we adopt the FY '24 solid waste budget as presented.
and I'll second that.
Motion's been made and seconded to adopt the solid waste budget fiscal year 2024 as submitted. Any discussion?
I'd make one comment. I would hold off because of the very favorable report that we just got on the
The increase of the
change in
ticket.
increase of the punch ticket
I would too.
until, well, maybe like June or something like that of '23. We'll get a little bit deeper in because the fiscal year begins on July 1st.
The only thing I wanted to throw out, I don't know if anybody else did this, but that $14,000 deficit number that he had written down there, if you divide that by $3.50, it's 4,000 punches. 4,000 and something punches.
That's how many punches we would be missing.
That's correct. That's, yeah. That number that you had in there.
That's it. I didn't look at it that way.
I did, because I had a conversation with Tyler Saturday. I just asked him to look at the board and tell me what would you change. And he said, get rid of C and D. I talked to Brandon about that. Not sure that's a great idea. There's a motion on the floor. Any further discussion? Hearing none? Whoop.
Can you add the amount of the budget?
Oh,
That's a good idea.
yeah, that's a good one.
Sorry.
I'm on historical inflation rates. I'm not there yet.
So it's gonna be for $334,769.
Did you get that? Okay. That's in the motion. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Great job,
Thanks, guys. Thanks for-
everybody, ladies and gentlemen, because that's 2 out of 3.
All right, so we're going into the general fund.
One we can't read.
Yeah, sorry. It's in your packet. That's just a PowerPoint.
I could read it better up there.
And yeah, Kelly, it's also on the screen.
I know, I'm
Okay.
just picking on you.
Sorry. I'll bring a magnifying glass next time.
I'll bring my own.
Okay. Following the select board meetings pertaining to the FY '24 budget, the board requested a breakdown of the general fund. As you know, inflationary increases are affecting the global economy. Over the past 40 years, inflation has not come close to the 2022 inflation rate since 1981, when inflation was 10.33%. Between 1982 and 2020, the average inflationary rate was 2.73%. As of November 22, our inflation rate is upwards of 8%, which is over 5% higher than the average annual inflationary rate since 1981. The FY '24 general fund budget does not include any change to the level of service we are currently providing. Over the past 3 years, we consolidated departments and services have been contracted out. There is no additional ability to decrease personnel beyond what we already have done without significantly decreasing services. So this is a breakdown of the increase. There was a general fund balance reduction of $20,418. So we do not have extensive fund balance to use following the use of most of our fund balance in FY '22 and FY '23. General fund interest and penalty reduction of $27,750. Delinquencies have decreased, and as a result, interest and penalty also decreases. Fire services, $67,420. That includes a new fire truck payment, fuel, dispatching services, vehicle repairs, and gear. Same annual amounts, increased costs. Police department, $51,139. Major increases include fuel and dispatching services. And then, of course, the COLA that the select board voted on of 8%, which is $56,180. So the total combined increase is equal to $222,907. As described in the chart above, we have a decrease in revenue of $48,168, and that's the two numbers combined, and an increase in expenses of $174,000, of which $49,371 as a fire truck payment, and $125,368 include inflationary increases in fire services in the police department. The board also asked, what can we do to try to offset this amount? And, we, according to eligible uses of ARPA, we can use some money in ARPA to offset this increase. It can be used for loss of revenue, which is one of the things that we are losing is revenue. It can also, we could pay for fire department special article requests with ARPA. And then we could go in another direction with highway, but I don't really suggest doing that. So that's kind of where we're at right now.
But if we use ARPA funds to reduce it, it's gonna make it go higher next year because it'll still be there, but we won't have the funds.
Yes,
Gotcha.
that's a very
Yeah.
good point.
We wanna make sure we don't do
Unless-
that.
Unless they're one-time buys or something, right?
Or in the budget located, and I don't know that there is and I don't know that there isn't, a multi-year opportunity to pay something off that would lower it the next year.
Yeah.
Similar to the paying 2 years for the grader, now we didn't have to do that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I don't know if, is there anything in this that would afford that opportunity?
So we,
You got excited when you heard that, you see that?
sorry.
I'd look for you, but I
trying
can't see.
to, I'm trying to think. We do have, so we have the 1879 schoolhouse, for example, and they have a budget. I mean, we could combine expenses into.
How big is their budget though, really?
Well-
It's gonna take $33,000 for a penny.
You'd have to add each department's potential one-time expenses together to get a larger chunk of money. So the 1879 schoolhouse. we
Is
could-
there a loan that is in the general fund that
Could be paid.
would be paid?
Could
I
pay off
don't
and
know.
get
The
rid of
fire, the fire truck.
Yeah, but that's,
That's just
I
starting.
don't, yeah, that's just starting.
That's the only one that we have in the general fund.
I just want to throw out, the balance of the ARPA right now is $331,954. So roughly $332,000.
Yep.
30,000 of that's almost a penny.
How about in the highway department? Is there a truck or anything we're paying for over there?
Yes, we have several,
Because it doesn't really matter where you pay for it, right? It's still
Because
gonna
it
come
would
out of the budget
decrease-
as an overall.
it would decrease the tax needs. So yes, we could do something with highway. The budget would have to be revoted on. And I'll name off what we have. We have the center road paving, which is $38,000. And if you look at on our debt schedule, which is attachment E, everyone has a copy of this. That is set to be paid off in FY '25, that 38,000. So if we actually paid FY '24 and FY '25's payment, we would decrease both of those years' budgets by right around $40,000 with interest. And then of course, we have the dump truck, the grader, which is, we just made 2 payments on the grader. So that's actually paid for through FY '25. We'll have 1, 2, 3, 4 payments left on the grader, around $70,000. So I mean, we could pay off the grader.
Ray's got a question.
Oh, go, Ray.
I-
Thank you.
I understand this whole conversation, but a lot of my capital purchases are based on these payments being done and that money being used to buy the next thing. And if we start changing the payoff dates and paying things off early, it's really gonna be complex.
would
So
make
like the
the-
$38,000 we're talking about for the pavement loan, when that's done being paid off, that budget year, I'm gonna add 38,000 to my paving plan. So without raising taxes, I could get more paving done. Things like that to consider before we start.
Yep.
I don't know, I'm just saying.
Those are really good points, Ray. So yeah, if we did pay off something, it would mess up our long-term capital plan.
We just spike the taxes heavily,
Well,
it'll save us now, but next time it'll be.
But it actually wouldn't with the grader necessarily, would it? I mean, if we went ahead and we paid the grader off,
That payment would be
and-
gone, and I wouldn't be able to use that payment to pay for the next grader. I'd have to ask for another $17,000 and would up it when we borrow money to get the new grader. Right now, we could transition into a new grader and keep the same payment roughly. If you lower it by paying it off.
Yeah, I don't know.
2 years.
Yeah, no, I
buy a
get
new
you.
one, it's gonna go back
I
up
get you.
again.
I don't know, all this equipment
Yeah.
is going to be very scary to buy.
Yeah,
I'm just getting it kind of stable right now. And if
I don't know.
we start paying stuff down.
I see what you're saying, Ray.
What happened to the dispatching? Did the state police just say, I don't wanna do it anymore? Why are we, like, we're gonna
Yes.
need to explain that at the town meeting about, a fire truck purchase is kind of easy to say, but not an annual service that raises by $30,000. So we already have a dispatch system that works with both fire departments, that's Hartford.
Yep.
What happened to the relationship, or maybe you don't know, with Westminster? Isn't that where that comes out of the police, comes out of the state police barracks?
So they don't have the staff support to be able to function it in a financially feasible way. So they've given notice that they would no longer be providing the service, and then Bill started budgeting for Hartford Dispatch.
Okay, so there's going to be a transition
Yep,
from Weathersfield Police to Hartford.
correct.
Okay.
And we did submit a grant application, so that is in process. We haven't received whether we'll get the funding, so this is kind of a worst-case scenario.
When did that notice happen that they were going to stop servicing dispatch at the police?
Around 3 months ago.
But did they give you a year or two?
I don't think so. I think it's gonna be, according to Bill, I think closer to the end of this fiscal year, so yeah, I guess they gave us almost a year.
So it's a definite, they're going to not dispatch town, and I hope they're not singling out Weathersfield,
I could dig into it a little bit more and give you more information tomorrow.
but I kinda wanted to finish, like you, didn't you?
Yeah, I'd like to.
But that's like a big one. That's like,
It is, it's
isn't that
huge.
like $30,000 just in dispatching for police alone? It's a penny.
It's more than that between the two.
The chief actually budgeted 14,000 because, I'm not,
Are you sure? I thought it was a lot more than that.
yeah, he budgeted 14,000 for dispatching services.
Well, on your sheet right up there, it's saying that police is going up, like one of the biggest ones. you
It's
know, from-
51,000.
Yeah, from
And that's
330
because
to 380.
The 8% increase, the 8% COLA actually increased their budget by 34,000 in personnel. So when the board voted on that, the largest chunk was from police. Because
Labor, labor.
their retirement plan is a much higher percent than all the other employees' retirement because it's law enforcement. So when you increase rates, retirement increases. For example, retirement increased by $5,000
Yeah.
because of that. And then FICA, because the salaries are much higher, was $37.89. And then workers' compensation actually increased by $5,500 for this department. So right there is 15,000 and not direct employee wages, indirect wages.
What is a percentage basis of a change? Up at the top, it's a little scary. If none of us were board members or anything to do with the town, and you're looking at it purely from the outside, and you're asking for somebody to give you 16% more tax money, that's a pretty big hit. So, what would that percentage be if, I know the voters voted on the fire truck, what is that, $50,000 payment?
Yeah, so that would decrease it by about, what, 4%? This would be at 12%.
I don't know, but I'm asking because, most people are walking around knowing that inflation is, at least publicly stated, at like 8.7. And they can say whatever they can say. The Social Security did that, 8.7. That's a pretty strong key.
It is.
So somebody can say, oh yeah, but you forgot that something else went up 100. That doesn't matter. What matters is what's publicly announced. I mean, we gave everybody an 8% raise in pay. But when you say that you need 16% more in property taxes, that's a pretty big, so you're saying through this whole budget that there's no other way that any other revenue is going to rise other than raising taxes?
So, you know, and Dave, you and I have had conversations here and there about, you know, previous town managers maybe inflating revenues. And I'm not looking to do that. I was trying to give a realistic, based on what I know right now, what the revenue will be.
No,
So
I'm-
could it come in higher? It could.
No, I'm just,
not
what the warning has to say the taxes, and and the way you get that number is when you plug 1,307,678 into our grand list, that's what you get. You know, you have to, our current grand list, then you're gonna generate a tax rate that people are gonna know. Right?
Yes, and, you know, we would be looking at 0.692 on the tax rate.
And last year was what?
Last year it was 0.6980, and this year it would be 0.6790. And, you know, part of this is also a fund balance reduction. We're only using 25,000 in fund balance, whereas last year we used 90,000. So eventually that catches up with you, and this is the year that's catching up. It's catching up to us.
Hey, I found out where you're gonna
Ray
be.
Ray had his hand up.
Oh, go ahead.
Ray?
Just a quick question, sorry, Chair. In the past, we borrowed money and not had the payment due until the following year. Is that what we're doing with the fire truck?
Yeah, that's due
That's
next
what
year.
happened.
So if you're borrowing at 23, it has to be paid first payment in 24.
Correct.
That's all I had.
And one of the things that happened to do that, it started, and that's a very dangerous thing to do. And there was a year, believe it or not, that the town passed an article to buy a dump truck, and it didn't even get bid out until like 2 years later, even though the authority was given. So what happens is, the treasurers at the time, or whatever happens, they fit it into the schedule of payment when they can fit it back to be paid back. That's what happens. And sometimes you give yourself a headache saying, oh, wait a minute, we have like three $50,000 payments to make, and we can't make one. Then you delay the banknotes. They don't care, they just charge you interest. I did have a question on when you, earlier, you had, like, when you gave your report on revenues at the halfway point at Q2.
Yep.
Was like at 55%. And I finally figured out where my point could be made on collecting delinquent taxes.
Okay.
Delinquent taxes are lumped into the current year's taxes payments as well. We don't separate them out. So therefore, when people pay their delinquent taxes, they actually get lumped into this revenue. That's one reason why your earlier report says that the general fund revenues are at 55%, but expenses are at 50%. That means an increase in revenue of 5%. That you will catch up. Remember, we've had this discussion with Bill Hall at the VLCT? We didn't have separate, so when somebody pays their taxes and they may be behind, it gets lumped into the regular account. That's where you never find it.
And the answer for that has always been your favorite line, accrual accounting.
There you go. But the day comes when the payments are made, and then you see it right there. So the actual tax revenue is gaining under our current year, because it would be, regular would be 1,026,000, and we're already at 526.
But there's another reality that factors into that. Over the next 6 months, you could have others go delinquent that cause it to go in the other direction.
Well, if you look at that, I brought last year's town report with me. In any particular year, it is true that the highest number of delinquent taxes are the current year, including the one that's
Right.
most recently up.
And what did you find her numbers? Somewhere around $200,000 or $300,000?
Yes.
That's apart.
Yes.
And that's what I was told by a previous town manager is about average.
Yes. Oh, that is very, very good for us. I mean, sometimes it's been 400 or 500.
Right, and when that happens, you see that penalty and interest line go up. which
Yeah, but
brings
that's
it
not
down.
that's not the line to watch. It's when any town manager comes here, it's the reports that Brandon just gave,
Yeah.
where you've got this revenue according to the monthly sheets that come in, and you get more revenue than you anticipated. It's because of those coming in monies.
Well, and another, Not Larry Moline, Jim Mullen also pointed out that when you allow too many people to get too far behind, you're not really doing them a favor and helping them out. You're putting them in a hole it's almost impossible to get out of. So that's not good to do either.
Have you met with all the other departments and they're thinking that this is just gonna pass? Cause I know that that's not a very good picture for us to make a different move and then not.
No, everyone's on board. I actually built these budgets with each department. We went back and forth. The budget actually started significantly higher than this, and this is where we landed.
Well, the voters voted to buy the fire truck and the terms with what it was. That amounts to $50,000 of that $214,000.
I'm looking at it another way, and that's at the cents per hundred. We're gonna end up at about it's like 6.9 cents. And if you back out that fire truck payment that they voted for, that's almost 1.7 cents coming out that they voted for.
Did the number-
652. So actually, what we've done is raise taxes about 5.2 cents.
Did the number that you just quoted, does that include any special articles?
No,
You,
No,
it doesn't.
no, it does not include that. No, that's just these budgets.
did the number that you just quote include the highway and the general fund? Tax?
Yes.
Yes.
Highway, general fund, and solid waste.
Bare minimum to run the town.
We didn't change it. None of the departments
Well, I
changed
just saw
it.
something, I just saw something today that will, fit into the narrative. I see that Springfield is asking $7,500 sign-on bonuses to come work at their highway.
Ray.
There goes Ray.
But that's a lot of money. I mean, I don't know the answer, but that's in the papers. I
Pretty
don't,
slow. What do you do with people already there?
that's exactly right.
You hire?
I don't know the answer to that, and
Quit and be rehired? Is that what you suppose what they'll do?
How would you feel if you were working there?
I'd quit.
that will be negotiated through the union because they're a union.
Oh.
I don't know how that's gonna work. That's the answer to the question.
Okay, so what do you want to do with this?
If there is anything you can.
Motion to approve the general fund budget for FY +24.
I looked at it from top to bottom over the weekend. I couldn't find anything to even cut in there if I wanted to.
$1,621,928, of which $1,307,678 to be raised by taxes.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to approve the general fund budget. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you all very much, ladies and gentlemen. What'd y'all think of the budget season this year? Was it any more fun than any other year?
As a taxpayer, I just want to thank you guys for trying to, everybody that was involved in the budget. As a taxpayer, I think it's nice to know that the town actually cares and tries. And this is a really hard year, so thanks for
It
trying.
was a very hard year. Yep, thank you for all you do too, Ray. He was picking up wood, he almost caused an accident right in front of me today.
Okay.
Flipped the lights on, I didn't know it was.
Middle of the road.
I know, cause you turn the lights on.
As far as are we now moving to the articles, or what about
Yes.
the articles that will cost money, or was there?
The extras, yeah, there's 2 extras,
No, well, the
Fire
special
department.
articles.
special articles. We got a health department
Where'd I
officer
put 'em?
thing here too.
Okay. There's that and that. That.
Where is it?
Are they in the packet, Brent?
Yes,
9
they
and
are.
10.
Oh, yeah, they are.
Is it 9 and 10?
Yep, Article 9 and 10. One's 40,000, one's 10,000.
I'd say we let them go through and see what happens.
You leaving, Ray?
If worse comes to worse, we'll take it out ARPA later.
I'm just checking, see if training.
Well, that's what I was gonna ask now.
I'd wait till later. I'd wait and see if they
Yeah,
get
but thi-
passed.
But this would be, $50,000. $50,000 would mean another 1.7 cents on the tax rate. I'm
Where are you at, Dave?
9 and 10.
Okay,
Special articles.
yes. You want to fund those with ARPA?
I'm just scared about the total tax rate. I don't know the answer. Especially the Article 10 is a very easy one to do. That's got to do with dry hydrants. I don't know, I just don't know.
These would, well,
I mean, that's a good use for it too, so,
The dry hydrants are.
yeah, absolutely, yeah.
What are the articles we have this year? Sorry.
That's it.
I think both of the articles are eligible uses of ARPA.
I know they are, but I'm weighing I don't know the risk between, the highway budget is a very easy one, given the makeup of it. It's gonna be the same tax rate as it was. The other one is a little bit scarier because it's 16% of a tax rise. Solid waste is an enterprise fund, and everybody knows that you may get hit with a 25-cent another punch ticket, so that's kinda easy too, so that one's gonna pass. But these are the ones that add on to the tax rate that doesn't necessarily
Yeah,
go
but
into the
they
presentation.
only add on if people vote for them.
well, and that's what I was gonna say.
And I
We
think,
don't have to
we
do
leave it to
anything
the
right
people.
now.
That's what I say.
We could wait until after the vote, and
Yeah.
if they approve them.
Then we don't have to worry about it.
Then well, if they approve them, we could still use ARPA money to fund it,
Yeah.
couldn't we? Or does the article specifically say it's taxed?
I think the article.
No, it
not-
says appropriate the sum.
Doesn't say from
Doesn't say
where.
it from where.
Yeah.
Well, oh, okay, yeah.
I think Article 10 should be eliminated, and I think we should do that on a different basis, similar to what we do with the gear. I think it's too small to put on a special article, for me. But I agree with, I think, did you ask, and again, I get back to the fire commission, they used to do this. They used to have a status of a map of the dry hydrants.
Yeah.
Then you would see which one works and which doesn't work. So it's not like, I got a pond, come put one in. That's like willy-nilly, but that's kind of what happens.
Or a plan of what needs to get updated or fixed or
Yes.
whatever.
So that information right there would be speaking to this article. Okay, why do you want the 10 grand? Well, we just want it just in case. Well, that's not good enough.
Aren't they putting it, Brandon? Aren't they putting in a dry hydrant now, somewhere?
Yeah, we just gave a bid.
The one we froze it until next spring, yes.
Okay, but that's a grant, and that's gonna draw money out of this acquisition fund, so that,
I don't know the finance side of it, I just know that they are doing a culvert, or a
so I think this is to replenish that account.
Do we have a reserve account specifically for dry hydrants?
Yes,
We do?
I believe so. Brandon, where'd you go?
It's in-
It's up and over there. Bert, there are two articles, one's the dry hydrant, what's the other one?
The other one is,
Yes, okay, we do.
fire apparatus acquisition reserve, $40,000.
You guys are gonna forego the highway one this year?
They do have one. See where it says water supply construction?
Hey, I don't mean to-
I didn't know that there was a reserve account for dry hydrants, but there is one.
Hey Dave, I don't mean to get off subject, but do you see in the left-hand corner, that box up there? You can see the split screen. On the left is where the PowerPoint was, and on the right is where they can see you. So they did actually successfully split it.
Okay.
I didn't know there was one. I thought maybe the dry hydrant.
Are you up to speed on where we are in this conversation?
But it was a good opportunity to point that out.
Okay.
Where do you see the water?
Where it says, right there, protection,
Oh,
water
okay.
supply,
Gotcha.
fire protection.
They got 12.
Yep.
13,000 in there.
Sorry,
You want to be recognized?
Well,
Yeah,
even
but I have something
fire
that's not on the
apparatus
budget,
one,
but
they
I
have
wanted to say quick.
132,000 in it.
Okay.
Can I,
What do they need
Hold
another
on,
that's fine.
40?
hold on to the sidebar, please.
This is totally not on the budget, but I just happened to see DeForest is on. I want to say happy birthday to Forrest. Thank you.
Happy birthday to Forrest.
Aw. Thanks, guys.
You're welcome.
Just an FYI, she's here for Article 12.
Article 12?
Solid waste?
No.
All right,
Oh,
so Brendan, Dave wants to remove Article 10,
I just think that can
and
be
we'll
funded.
figure out a different way,
Yeah, and Kelly and I both are okay with that.
yeah.
as am I. Now, what about Article 9? The fire apparatus acquisition reserve, $40,000.
I'm wondering if what you just said about, it doesn't specifically say where it's coming from, so we could appropriate that from ARPA if we wanted to, right?
After the fact.
After the fact, but at least let the voters vote on.
Whether they
Do they
think they
want
want
it?
it or not, yeah.
So,
Well, you gotta assume that if it's on the ballot, that they're gonna be taxed. So, I don't know that that's,
okay, no, that's a good point.
It's a general
Yeah.
rule or general
Yeah.
point.
I wouldn't feel comfortable putting, I think all these, you gotta assume that you're gonna be taxed on it. Any other way of financing it or funding it is a different, you don't need to go to the voters.
I just quickly, this apparatus, reserve, the 40,000, that's kind of split up between the two groups then, correct?
It's one account, it goes into one account, we both share it.
Yeah, right.
Sitting at
So,
132,000,
right now,
Yeah.
yeah.
Go.
Brandon, on these reserve accounts though, so when you look at the third one down, the fire apparatus, so that's the trucks.
Yep.
Is the balance at 132 prior to taking out the package that we just signed tonight, or after?
Prior.
So we used some money on that note
Yep.
to buy the truck
Correct.
of 325,000, and then the truck was 270, the loan was 270. So we took out $50,000,
Yeah, I think it's 50.
so this thing is going to look like 80,000.
Correct.
Okay, that's really important to know, of whether we want to decide to put this article on or do something with, it's really important to know.
I'm inclined, due to the position of this year, I'm actually inclined to take this from ARPA myself. Just to get it off there and get it done. It's got, we gotta keep putting the money in there. Ray also just brought up another question. What about the highway? Correct?
Yeah, I know you discussed it earlier, I'm not pushing anything, I'm just saying, usually we put in 1% or 33,000 or 30,000 to the highway reserve equipment fund on an article.
The only thing I'll say to that is this is the last year, I think, of, although we could do the same thing, I'm not really sure, with ARPA. There's 300,000 left.
31 something.
Remember,
332.
I don't know, I think almost all the members think this way, that we're trying to get the most benefit out of the most long-term for the benefit of the most Weathersfield residents. Right? I mean, what, if any, and I don't, it's way too early to calculate what that would be though, will there be opportunity to transfer from the highway, a potential surplus that may occur at the end of June of '23?
It will be.
So that's the other opportunity to have at that time.
That would be the next budget season, you mean, something to transfer as a revenue?
Well, every June 30th, you have to decide what to do with monies
Yeah.
from whatever is happening, whether you've got a opportunity or not. I don't know what that is or isn't, but if you look at the transfer that happened.
So you're suggesting transfer from the fund balance to the highway equipment
Reserve,
at the end of
not
the year?
not give it back. Then we've done that, we've done that 2 times into the capital maintenance and the equipment, both of them.
Okay,
I don't know, I'm just asking. Now's the time we're trying to establish the warning
right.
and
yeah.
what articles to be put in to be taxed. What did you say the total tax burden will be if the people adopt the general fund and the highway fund?
0.692.
7 cents. That's the most it's been in a really long time.
Yes.
And there's no anticipated change in the grand list?
Not at this time. I'll have to look into that a little bit more. I mean,
They
based
still-
on what you and I have talked about before, it's usually half a penny.
Well, last year was the most biggest surprise ever
Yeah,
because
it
it
went the
shrunk by
other way.
$3 million.
Yep. So 10's gonna come out.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think we should be determining what to spend in ARPA funds tonight. I think we need to have a lot more thought put into that. I don't know.
And I'm okay with that too, because I do agree with the other statement, which is, what are we gonna get the most, bang for the buck out of?
But we need to
using
make a
the ARPA?
list, and we need to make a list of those, and then go down, take some time, and then go down through the list and say what we're doing with them.
Well, and earlier, we were discussing the fire department's, situation on the Escutney side, and I'm thinking maybe those doors should be taken care of, or could have been under the building assessments, although we didn't know at that time that they were gonna fail. They failed, maybe that's something we do there. Also part of the ARPA discussion, for another night. So you wanna leave Article 9 on here? That's the $40,000 for the fire equipment acquisition.
That's another 1.1 penny. That's gonna go up to 8 cents on the tax
If it
rate.
passes.
What is the school doing too?
Do you know what the school's doing?
I don't know, we got it in front of us.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how that implicates. I think they're actually gonna go down more than what they said, because their per pupil rate, I'm trying to learn what the combination might be. I know we shouldn't care, but we should care.
It's like 7.5 million.
Mm-hmm.
What was it, 20?
It's
Thousand?
20,813 per pupil.
Yeah, but that actually is a lowering.
It's
and
lowered
That
by
will lower the homestead
0.86%.
education tax rate. Yeah, the conversation that I had with John was they had more funds to lower that statewide.
I don't really like the way that article is worded.
Which one?
Article 4 from the school. Because what it doesn't do is say, you know,
Yeah, usually they say how much you need for taxes.
the amount to be raised by taxes is
Yes.
not in the article.
No,
I don't like that.
no, so they, right, just like ours,
I-
just like ours did. I mean, you have a big number
And
and then the lower number.
isn't that actually required? Isn't there a rule on how the article? has
Unless
to-
they're raising all 7,487 from taxes.
Ouch.
I don't know.
I don't either. You know, and pointing out that the per pupil cost went down in an article, I don't see where that's really pertinent to the article. It's like, here, this is the budget, vote for it, because we dropped the per pupil cost, even though we raised your
It
taxes.
was worded
for
the
half
same
a-
way last year.
It was?
It wasn't, it did not specify the amount to be raised by taxes in the school last year.
And what was the amount raised by taxes last year? They didn't provide any of that information to us.
No, they didn't here either, but it did do, even for us, it did 6,964,000.
So the budget's up $500,000, which we knew that.
550.
Yeah, 550, it went up more. So,
But they got less students?
No,
No, we
20
got
more.
more.
Oh, okay, more, okay, I was gonna say.
And they may get more revenue from state aid, they will. So it's not fair to compare that.
well, you don't know what that's gonna look like. And maybe they don't either, maybe that's why they do the article that way. They might not know until like, sometime in like May or June.
Correct.
Kelly thinks they know right now.
I'm not saying anything.
Sometimes somebody's face says it all. Okay,
I'm
so.
okay with leaving the articles off, both of them for now. I just think that enough. I think we have to defend enough at 7 cents.
You wanna leave 9 off as well?
Yep. For me.
take 2 of them off,
Okay,
decide them later.
good with that, Brandon? I know that 9 is a
Departments are not gonna be happy, because we build a capital plan based on having those 2 amounts in the capital plan.
Well, we're giving them the 10. We're taking that one out anyways.
And we might still vote that in later.
It's gonna hurt you the next time you buy a truck.
I actually think that we have been very, very generous with all the departments. I will stand in there on all of that. We've taken vote after vote after vote to fund things that we normally have not done.
And there's 132,000 in there already?
No, it'll be minus, it'll be 80.
We've gotta take
Yeah,
out
we
the fire
We had to use
department
some to buy
truck.
the truck. The new truck.
Thank
It
you.
is a tight year, and
Quite honestly, I mean, because of the information that I got today, I mean, that truck that we just bought was 325,000. You can't buy that truck for 450,000 now. I think something is going to happen for small towns, not just our town, where we're gonna have to look at lease returns or some other financial package to get our arms around all of this. We can't simply have new paint payments. I don't see how anybody's going to. I heard Proctorsville's new truck, $600,000.
That's a little town.
I don't know how or why or what is gonna be the reason to do lots of things. I don't know. On the other way, the good news is that the big budget bill came in. There may be opportunity for grants or whatever that we can look at to buy some machinery through Homeland Security or something like that. They do it all the time, both fire departments, and then we learn about it after. And there may be something to buy a truck with, I don't know. The package just passed the US House and Senate, and the president signed it, of 1.7 trillion with a T dollars. That package is good through 9/30, and they're already talking about what Senator Leahy got for Vermont as outgoing chairman of appropriations of the Senate. Is a big deal for all kinds of things.
So basically, 9 and 10 will come out, we'll try to figure out, I mean, 10 is, that one we can probably get to fairly easily.
Yes.
The 9 will be a little bit more of a struggle, but I think we all know that we're gonna have to get there somehow. It's just a matter of not having that in the budget this year,
okay.
simply because of the other increases that we're already dealing with.
That's right. So the way, and we haven't seen actually maybe it's been talked about, maybe I missed it, about when actually another truck will be bought. That conversation might have to be had. You remember in the I don't know, we spent, what was it, $10,000 on the fire department study? That we may buy a different kind of truck that might not cost that much. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, just a quick question on that, and I'm not trying to argue having it in there or not in there, but if the voters, they're gonna know what it's gonna raise it. If they don't like it, they'll vote it no. I mean, would there, and I said, I'm not arguing, I'm just wondering if we left it at least at 40,000 and they voted no, it'd be like we took it out. If they voted yes, then that's what they wanted. I don't know.
Well, so what happens if they vote no?
Then we're in the same boat we are now, right?
Well, not really, because now you've been told by the voters, we don't wanna spend that money that way.
Well,
At
from
this-
their,
at this
from their,
point, they're-
from their taxes. They didn't say anything about the ARPA, which is what we would look at anyways.
Yeah,
Who picked the magic 40,000?
When the treasurer and I and the 2 fire departments met upstairs to go over the capital plan, that was the amount of money that was needed annually to put into reserves to fund the capital plan.
Assuming what?
Assuming that we would,
the next purchase,
assuming that the next purchase, for
But-
each of the,
But that's out the window, and I'll tell you why. The costs have escalated far beyond the plan that you drafted,
you're right,
like a lot.
even the numbers that we put in for the
You
replacement
assumed a
costs.
$350,000 truck, and that's not happening.
That is true.
well, you could still do a $350,000 truck, it just isn't gonna be brand new. Or it's gonna be a lease, like you said, that might be an option.
That's what a lot of southern states do, they lease,
We could be looking at fleet reduction too.
maybe.
You know, we got two departments, what do we need? Maybe we need to look more closely at that. And I don't know the answers to any of those questions. But I do know this, if the cost is going up and we're putting less money in, then all of a sudden, there's gonna come a day, it's gonna cost us more.
And we don't have any money in.
Yeah.
Put the article on,
Self-fulfilling prophecy.
put the article on, let the voters decide.
Right.
So,
Put the article on, let the voters decide.
So 10
I don't know how we pick 40,000, for me, it'd be easy to pick 33, and then we can define it as one more penny.
And maybe we should do that, just drop it to a penny.
now, just real quick, we could either have a special meeting to approve the warning, or I could run upstairs and modify it. You could approve it tonight. I could modify it.
Oh, we can approve it tonight, and then you can tell us to come in at our thing to sign it.
And sign it, yeah.
There is one more article that would need to go on.
Well, let's finish this, and on number 9, it's at 40,000. They used to do a penny, and the reason for doing a penny would be depending on what your grand list comes in at.
You'd be able to quantify it.
It can change that amount, or you could just set it at 30,000 or 33,000, whatever you do, which is approximately 1 penny. What's your choice on this? You want to leave it at 40? You want to drop it down to 30?
Leave it alone.
Yeah, just leave it
It's just a
alone.
little over a penny.
Leave it the way it is. Okay, very good.
And then we have a couple more articles to talk about. We have the Veterans Memorial Reserve Fund, which is DeForest's request. We have the West Weathersfield Volunteer Fire Department tax exemption, and then we have the business personal property tax discussion.
I'm fine with leaving Article 11 on, I'm fine with leaving Article 12, but does Article 12,
Memorial, and as we all know, the memorial has already been in existence since 2010. We have expenses to maintain it and to fund the annual events that the committee puts on for Memorial Day and Veterans Day. The money that's in this reserve account is actually funds that were raised by the committee itself. They got put into this reserve account when the accountants that the town switched to several years ago wouldn't allow us to maintain that separate account for fundraising money. So town treasurer Hire took our fundraising funds and put it into this reserve account and has been allowing us to spend it on maintenance of the memorial and annual expenses for the committee, which isn't exactly correct. That's not what this reserve fund was set up for by the voters. I'm just asking if the voters will allow us to amend this reserve account so that we can use it to maintain the memorial and to fund the Veterans Day and Memorial Day ceremonies.
I have a question for us, and I hope the answer is going to be yes, because then this, or maybe not, I don't know. Can this be a floor vote?
It's
There's no money involved. It's simply changing the purpose of the reserve.
so it could be a floor vote.
So the answer would be yes, you think?
Yes, I think so.
So then it wouldn't have to be on the ballot, which is what we're trying to determine now, so it could be, it could be a floor vote, which, well, all you gotta do is identify that, in
I
parentheses,
would just do that at the beginning of the meeting,
Yes.
like we usually do for floor votes.
yes.
You know what we're talking about?
I'll do some research tomorrow and figure it out.
Okay, either way, the board's good with this, yes?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, absolutely.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Yep.
Happy
Have a nice birthday.
Thank you.
You have cake?
She probably already
No, but I have beautiful flowers.
signed off.
Less calories that way.
Uh-oh.
I need cake.
It's not your birthday.
Somebody's.
Okay.
Go ahead.
No, I just think it's a good idea to have a floor vote, why not?
Yeah, absolutely, it's not a money article.
Yeah.
It's just it's a change of an article with no money attached to it, so it should be, it
Should
should be.
just read off in the beginning then, and the moderator read them off, and then do a
Okay.
floor vote, and whoever shows up votes there. So, I mean, and if it's close, they count.
It makes it fun for a town meeting.
Yeah, it does, because it doesn't happen a lot.
Exactly.
Money things we can't, so.
Okay, so we have one other article, and that's Lisa's request, for an article.
Lisa's on, even though it says it's Jeff.
Nice.
Yeah. Hi, Lisa.
Hello.
Hey, Lisa.
Before we start this, I tried to talk when you were discussing Article 9 and 10, but I couldn't talk. So can I talk to those now?
To 9 and 10?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're still on the articles, so go ahead.
So I just wanted to add, I think it was Paul that made mention, if they're on the article, the taxpayers know how much the tax rate's going up. But that's not really true, because the article says that it's not included in the budget. So if you were to say the budget's going up 5.2%, it doesn't include these two separate articles.
That is correct.
So the taxpayers don't really know how much it's gonna go up if it passes. And as a taxpayer and someone who's listened to the meeting, if I hear that, well, if they don't pass, we'll just take it out of ARPA funds, I'd probably vote no anyways. So I just wanted to throw that out there. And lastly, shoot, my last thought. Oh, I agree with Mike. I don't think well, I don't know. It just amazes me how everybody can vote and not attend public meetings. But I think it's probably safe to say a lot of the people that vote don't know what 1 penny means. So I did like it in the past years when it was put on as an article saying if it passed, you know, that was the impact. 1 cent equals $30,000 or whatever. I'd be surprised if many people that vote really know the impact when it's worded like that. So that was my comments on those articles.
So we could add that language into the articles without actually changing the articles. Because it's just information.
And I'm wondering if that's included in the past.
Yep. Yep. And I think the not in budget is required, I think, because it's not in the budget.
why
Yes,
it's a
you're
separate
absolutely
article.
right. It's a separate article.
That's why it's a separate article.
Yes.
That was
correct.
something Kelly requested in the last
But,
one. I remember
but,
this.
but I didn't understand that. In my early days of doing this, and coming to
Parentheses.
these meetings and stuff and going to town meeting, I didn't know what that meant, not in the budget. It
Well, I mean,
didn't make sense.
yeah, I guess. That's why it's a separate article, because it's not part of one of the budgets.
Yeah, but a lot of people don't know that. They have to see it.
Right.
What is it?
And I agree with Lisa that you put the 33 cents equals 1 penny, or 33,000 is equal to 1 cent on the tax rate, or something like that, in parentheses. That way they know if you're voting for $40,000, it's something a little over a penny that you're adding to the tax rate, which we talk about at the meeting. But at least those that aren't at the meeting and they come out and vote will at least see that. Paul?
And if I could say one more thing about the ARPA money, that wasn't like a snide thing about, oh, we'll just spend it there. What I mean by that, saying that is, we as a select board are the ones that approve and say where the ARPA money goes. And we're trying to utilize it for things that the whole town will use. So if we put an article on there and voters say, no, they don't want their taxes to go up, most of them probably won't even know what that would be spent for, as we were just, saying maybe, because it doesn't specifically, it just says the apparatus stuff. Then we as a board can decide to use that money because we need it for the budget for the apparatus, but that's less money. ARPA could be used somewhere else. So it's kind of this, it's not just we're holding off and seeing, we only have a set pool of ARPA money and we're gonna put it somewhere, and if the voters vote in to keep that money going up for the fire department, then that's good. If not, that's where we could help.
Brandon, what's the date by which we have to have all of the ARPA money at least targeted?
At the end of FY24.
So
Not spent, but planned.
Yeah.
So that would be June 30, 25, end of fiscal year 24, correct?
No, I think they did it by a calendar year.
Yeah.
No, they were,
Yeah,
I think it's either June 30th of 2024 or December 31st of 2024.
I think it's December 30, 2024.
Okay.
And I don't think you have to spend it, but I think you have to have it,
Earmarked.
Yeah,
yes,
earmarked, yeah.
you have to have a plan.
Okay.
What is the total dollar amount of impact of the business inventory tax of the town?
I'll have to get back to you on that.
But that's what we're gonna talk about, right? If we're gonna draft an article to put on, to exempt it?
Yeah, I think it's,
Wasn't it like 11,000?
I thought it was 20. 20's ringing a bell, but it may be 11, between 11 and 20, but I don't know off the top of my head.
11 and 20, I think, was the small businesses, wasn't it? It wasn't the total, was it?
When we talked about this 2 years ago, Lynn Esty, I have it in my notes, Lynn Esty said it was about 15,000.
Okay.
That was in
that's the-
2021.
That's the total amount that we get.
That was a couple of years ago, though.
There were 2 or 3 that paid
Most of
a considerable amount, like 2/3 of it or something. And one of them, I think, was the power company.
Yeah.
That one just got appealed and dropped dramatically.
Well, listen, we have a $10,000 exemption now. I was the one who came forward with that, requesting exactly this, get rid of it. And that was with Jim Mullen, I think.
To get rid of it entirely?
Yes, you probably
no,
voted on it.
no,
That's
I-
when it was created, that's when the $10,000 exemption was created.
Well, all last year, that when this happened, the talk happened like 2 years ago, and we failed to put it on the ballot because I didn't get there last year.
Where I'm trying to get to is this, if you take $15,000 out of the budget,
Another half a penny.
where you're gonna put it back in somewhere. Yeah. Because that's a revenue that's going away, not an expense.
Yes.
I just wanna point that out. I don't
Yes.
have a problem with this, but it's $15,000 we're gonna have to make up somewhere.
Yes.
We're gonna have to increase the general fund by that amount.
Yes. That would be, and that would probably need to be would that need to be in the article? That would be for that
No,
next-
you'd
that next
have to
budget?
explain the definition that way, if those people voted to do that. The presentation of the article would have that effect on it.
Yes, you're right.
Yep. So you wanna leave this article on?
We don't have the article on there yet.
You wanna create an article for this? What do you want it to sound like? Lisa, do you have any idea? Did you write anything out?
I don't have an idea on how to word the article, I just, I mean, it's basically just for the town of Weathersfield to exempt, right? Isn't that what you,
What if we raised the threshold of so it didn't get cut out? Who would have the authority to raise the amount of money from 10,000 to,
How did you guys do it last time?
I don't know,
I don't remember.
20 or
I-
30 or whatever? That way it would keep in the majority of the tax, but it be for the smaller people.
businesses.
Yes. The problem with that was, that I heard last time when this thing kind of blew up, was that person still had to run around and file the paperwork to say that you were exempt, to prove that you were, which is like, several people came to me and said, I don't want to spend the time to do that either.
The other question is, how much, when you start looking at that, how much money are you actually spending to raise $15,000?
That's what we asked.
If you're spending $12,000 to raise 15,
That's a Lister thing. I don't know what they do now. I don't think it's as aggressive as it was, but that was the question that we raised at that time. How much time was the office spending generating this income? Hourly and sending out the papers and so forth.
15,000 is a half a cent.
Yes.
So, Dave, last year we talked about this and we asked town council for an opinion.
Nice.
And town council stated that a vote at an annual or special town meeting is required to change the business personal property tax exemption.
So,
Okay.
so it's similar to what we did on the town floor when we changed the amount for the veterans to pay school tax, the local tax. We raised that from 10 to 20,000 too, on the floor. I'm getting a feeling that it would be similar to this veterans thing, where you're changing the definition of that.
So would this be a floor vote, or would it be Or,
I think so.
or are they two different things?
No, I think so.
I mean, if
Well,
you're changing the
listen to- listen-
percentage for the exemption.
So
I
can
would
you say what he
floor
said
vote.
again
Yeah,
to do
listen to
what?
what council said.
I'm actually going to the packet where we talked about it right now, just to kind of see if I put together an article.
You'd have to have a presentation here about the effect of this, so it would be, you know, do you wanna raise it from $10,000 exemption to $20,000 or $30,000 exemption, how would that affect the town? It's gonna lower the revenue by a little bit. It's not gonna get rid of the entire 15,000. So you're not gonna be talking about half a penny, I can tell you that right now.
But if you did that, would you actually be going in the hole on what you're actually raising?
No.
With your expense for?
No, because you'd keep the ones that paid the most, and it really wouldn't. You'd be still keeping $10,000 worth of revenue, that's
Yeah,
what
but
I
you're
would.
still making everyone fill out that
Yeah.
darn piece of paper.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I think,
Is the burden worth the hassle?
So on July 4th,
Hang on, Lisa, go ahead.
I guess I just wanted to say that whether it's an article, whether it's a floor vote, whether it affects your budget or not, the impact is only on the small businesses in town that complete this form. So, I mean, if there's 100 registered businesses in the town of Weathersfield, maybe 50% return these forms. So, I mean, I just don't know whether it would pass or fail, you know, I mean, it just doesn't have an impact on the taxpayers like your budgets do and like a fire truck does and all that other stuff. So as simple as you can keep it is my recommendation, and I'm not trying to throw $15,000 worth of revenue under the rug, but that's just my opinion on that.
But it is gonna affect the budget, because the rest.
It is gonna affect the budget,
the-
right?
No, the rest of the budget would then have to make up that, if this got knocked out, it is, you'd have to make up the $15,000 on other people to pay the taxes, because it is part of the general fund budget, as income.
Right. So if the article or floor vote is to make it, you know, make everyone exempt or have the town of Weathersfield be an exempt town, then it's gonna impact the budget. If the article or the floor vote says to raise it from 10,000 to 50,000, then it's probably not gonna, I mean, you're never gonna know how much it impacts the general fund at that point.
You would when you go to the listers and ask them who, or I don't know if I'd jump it to 50, but they would be able to tell you who filed those exemptions at that and who paid the balance of it. You'd be able to find that out through the lister office.
Paul?
We had that information at that meeting.
Yeah.
We got a piece of paper that had all those, and we did have a number, I don't remember
Yeah.
what it was.
Yep.
it's 50.
What was 50?
Yep.
And I think that number is where we figured out, okay, it's gonna keep the top 5 or whatever,
Yep.
and then the lower people, so.
And you found out what they paid. Because it has to-
Yeah, they were all,
got it
like
all
you said, the
returned.
listers gave us that list on there,
Yes.
so I just don't remember the numbers, but.
My notes from 2021 says, out of 19 forms submitted, 12 of those were below $10,000. So that means 7 businesses paid the $15,000.
I saw a whole lot more than that when the last lister report came
Yeah,
in.
yeah, it was-
And that may have just been one of the reports, Lisa, because they do trickle in over time.
But to that point though, I do wanna, I mirror exactly what Dave was saying and others, it's a pain in the butt for people that have to, they don't wanna, they gotta prove that they don't have that money.
That they're
and-
excluded,
And
yes.
that's a pain in the butt, because a lot of them get it and they don't
know what
they're
to do.
not sure what it even is,
Yeah.
and then they see, oh, it's strictly from the state, and then they're, so, you know, I don't,
And how many phone calls did you have to field, or somebody in the office had to field, that had to deal with, what is this thing you're sending to me?
That did trigger quite a stir in town.
I got the most phone calls. I must have gotten like 5 or 6 out of any other subject.
I got knocks on the door, 2 of them only, but I got knocks on the door. One was my brother, but that's okay. But yeah, it's a pain.
Did we find out or not find out that some towns just exempt it and
They
get move on
do,
with
yeah,
life?
absolutely.
I think most towns
Most towns do.
do
Yeah.
exempt it. I think do the article and let the voters decide.
Are the solar arrays exempt?
No. Yeah. So we're gonna lose, I think we raise it to 50,
I do too.
you know?
Thank you, Dave. I do too. I think we don't extinguish it. And I guess according to council, that we can't take this up as an administrative move, because I wish we could do that.
Yeah. we just
I
gotta-
think we move up the threshold, but I don't think we get rid of it for that reason, because there's a couple of arrays
Yeah.
that
You know, I mean, we'd lose,
are viewed as equipment. They're not exempt?
no.
Good question.
But you're still only dealing with about a half a
Yeah, I
cent
know.
on the tax rate
No,
overall.
not anymore. Not anymore, because those arrays have not come on, and they're gonna generate more than you think. They're gonna be in the $1 to $2 million range.
2 million.
Yes, it's going, no, it's not, it hasn't happened yet, but there's two that are gonna hit right here in town. So that's not been anticipated in the $15,000. It's gonna be a source of revenue that wasn't there.
Let me figure out where to raise the bar to, and then.
Yes.
Are we gonna call a special meeting for the warning at this point, or?
We
Well,
have to warn it if we raise it.
according to council, it has to be
Well-
voted on at a town meeting or a special town meeting, an annual one. So if we're gonna take this
If-
subject
Do it
up,
all at
Well,
the
if
same
we,
time.
if we're in agreement that we're gonna raise the exemption to 50,000, then we go back to what we said before. We just have to come in and sign the.
oh, yeah, you're right. You're right. The first, yep, you're right.
So.
So
he
if the-
can-
the
we just
wording-
Agree on
Yeah.
The wording of the article, that's exactly right.
Yeah,
That the threshold be raised from 10 to, you're saying 50?
You did.
Oh, no, I'm not, I'm
just
just,
repeating you.
no, I just asked about our two new things that came
But
into
I
town.
think Brandon said the last meeting we looked at, that was the recommendation of moving it to 50. Was that correct, Brandon?
It was an example that I gave.
Yeah, at the last meeting.
Lisa, how do you feel about that?
I don't like that idea, but I'm only one person. I think, according to my notes, and my notes may be wrong, but according to my notes, it was last discussed on a warning in 2012. So if somebody wants to look at the 2012 warning, maybe it will have some information. And I don't know, my notes aren't clear if it was to raise it or to exempt or what it was supposed to do, but.
That sounds probably like the one that created the exemption in the first place at $10,000. That
I
would be
believe
right
that to
around
be
that
true.
time.
Yeah, but what, do we need to look at, I mean, we already have it, but we just need to know what we want to do going forward.
Yes.
I do know there was some words in there, though, that offered a very fast depreciation schedule on some machinery. Like, you could still almost end up with new, but it was depreciated out after a few years.
Nothing is ever depreciated out. It caps at 10%.
Right, but it allowed you to move very quickly to get to
Yes.
the threshold of not paying.
Yep. So we need to just pick a number and let Brendan,
I also was told by the listers themselves that some machinery didn't count, wheels and so forth or whatever, so there was a definition issue as well about what would be qualified for that tax or not.
I don't know which number to pick at this point without doing the
is
research.
I got a question. I know that Title I requires us to identify, like when you want to tax a group or something, you have to identify that group. Is there a different way for us to word this so that we accomplish both tasks? Number one, exempting the smaller businesses from the tax, but not the bigger ones, so that the littler guys don't have to bother to fill out this foolish form too.
No, I think you
Is there-
always have to, I think you always have to do that. And you know what? My take is, by just finding this out about a couple of bigger things that are gonna happen in town, that is the additional sources of revenue that we can't discount other than property taxes. Sorry, but that's just a fact for equipment. So, I think that that's a burden that should be placed on the people, and they gotta fill it out. If they don't, I mean, what are they gonna get? A letter from the lister saying to do it again? They're not gonna get like a fine. We're not gonna be the town police coming after you. It's not gonna be that way. So,
But all I'm saying is, for instance, if you set this threshold at $50,000 and up, anybody below that doesn't have to fill out the form. Just
I don't know, I'd like to do the research
to how you can get to that
before a number is selected.
before a number's selected.
Yep.
Okay.
You can't do that without having a vote tonight. Well, you
Yeah,
have some
but,
kind of resolution.
yeah, but if that's the only thing we have to do, we could do that by telephone. If all we're doing is picking or Zoom, whatever.
But that's gonna be a warned meeting.
It does, but we don't. But it's just
It can be a Zoom meeting.
yeah. It's just one issue.
Yeah, but it's gotta be 2 or 3 day notice.
It does.
Special meeting.
gotta
Special
have-
meeting is 48 hours.
Well, to be safe, why don't this year we increase it to 25,000, the exemption?
It's gotta be voted on by the town. That's what council said.
Yeah, we shouldn't put it on the ballot twice. Do you want me to go do the research real quick? I can do it now.
Okay, you go do the research, and here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna table this discussion for the other for
10
14
minutes.
Articles 14 and 15, and then we're gonna come back.
Yeah.
So we're gonna move to the appointments. Health officer. Brandon is the go-to
Yeah.
Yep.
Do you need a nomination for that? I mean, do you need a motion?
Yes.
motion. Yeah.
All right, then I make the motion that we appoint Brandon Kolnick as the town health officer.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Motion's been made and second. Any further discussion? Let's do it while he's not here.
No further discussion in my mind.
No further discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Brandon is appointed.
I have I'm sorry.
Go ahead, planning commission.
I'm on B now, planning commission.
Yep.
It looks like there's a vacancy, but I think the board needs to approve. Does the board need to approve the resignation of the previous member?
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
we
my,
haven't done that, have we?
Yeah, no, we haven't done that, so we can't appoint anybody until we
Actually accept their
yeah,
resignation.
which I
do we have the letter of resignation?
I didn't see it in.
We do, I haven't,
I have it, I've seen it, but that's only because I'm on the planning commission.
right,
I don't know where it sits at this table.
upstairs.
Yeah. So, and we do have, I think we do have
One application,
one application for planning
At
commission,
this
so
time.
I would,
but we haven't even announced it yet. After we announce it, we'll give I forget what that period is. It's like at least 30 days.
yeah, no, that's fine.
But
That's why
once
I
we
want to get
announce
it
it.
taken care of, so.
So, okay. So,
Should we approve or accept the resignation?
no, because the planning commission hasn't yet.
I don't
Or
think,
does the planning commission have to?
no, not there, because the planning commission doesn't appoint its member.
Okay, Tyler Harwell, tendered his resignation. Actually, probably almost 6 weeks ago.
Did he give it to the town manager?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, yeah.
There you go.
That's how he did it.
That's all he
did it
needs
through
to
the
do.
town manager. And I believe his term is through 2025, which means any appointment would be to fill that seat to the end of that term. That's how it is for the planning commission.
Well, for any term.
Not here. It's until, at the select board, it's until an election is had.
And
Remember that?
Well, you're filling the unexpired term, right?
Yes, in this case.
hold on.
We're actually
Still
on
here.
planning commission vacancy right at the moment, but you can distribute your stuff.
Mr. Chair,
These
can I,
appointments when you're out of the room, you've got some stuff. Just so
Yeah, you're a health officer.
may I make
Yes.
one comment?
Yes.
If
We
could
signed
put-
you up for a lot of other stuff while you were gone too.
This is why I don't leave meetings.
Yeah, by the way, yeah, you're the pizza guy now? Every meeting has to have
This is
pizza?
like really helpful, this is 50.
I would just like to put in the minutes, I would, as the planning commission chair and as a select board member, I just would like to thank Tyler for his hard work and being part of the planning commission for the last few years. So thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
Move to accept the resignation of Tyler Harwell from planning commission.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to accept the resignation of Planning Commission member Tyler Harwell. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. There is now a vacancy at the Planning Commission, and I will give 30 days for persons to submit. We have one now, and so 30 days from today, Brandon?
Yep.
Okay, Dave, we'll go back to draft town meeting articles, and this is the business personal property tax.
So Mike,
Oh, Brandon, go ahead. Sorry.
so we raised $24,595 in business personal property tax revenue. Everything under 50,000, you know, between 26,000 and 50,000, we have 8 parcels that generate $1,979, and below that is 859. So we'd be looking at right around $2,800 in revenue loss if we exempt it up to 50,000. And then beyond that is where the majority of the revenue comes from.
Here's where, that's for this year,
Yes.
but here's where you're gonna add for next year, so you're gonna end up with 2 more that are beyond the 201K.
Exactly.
So it's going to work out.
Yes, it is.
I'm supporting crafting an article to raise the threshold from $10,000 exemption to $50,000.
Yep.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to raise the exemption on the personal property tax from $10,000 to $50,000. Any further discussion?
Do Airbnbs fall into this?
I do not know.
Aren't they business?
They should be, they're business.
Yeah, but it's equipment. It depends what
Oh,
they
this is
have.
only equipment.
No, you have to read the definition in the lister's office.
Curious.
Yeah.
Maybe you're-
It's not real property. It's not part of that.
It's squirrely. Computers and all that stuff is,
Yeah.
oddly
But-
enough.
But furniture
Motorcycle
is not.
lifts, air
Well, I
air
don't know, there's a bunch
compressors,
of things that are
computers,
and are not, so I don't know.
that kind of
You'd have to
stuff.
read-
Sorry, just
Tools,
thought I'd ask.
toolboxes,
Rich, I don't know.
you know, tractors,
I don't know.
tractors. Hey?
No.
Okay, any further discussion on the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 The only homework that I'd ask you is if, when you run that by, I'd hate to run it by council again, it'd be $300 an hour. Can it be done is it done at a floor vote, or is it a ballot vote?
Well, it's a money change.
Yeah, it has to do with money.
I don't know.
It wouldn't hurt just to put it on the ballot.
It's
then.
worth
Just put
it's
it on
worth
the
a
ballot.
question. It'll have to go through a
I'm
presentation. I
gonna
don't know.
contact VLCT
Yeah,
attorneys.
that's a good idea.
And, Brandon, if you're gonna contact VLCT, and we already pay those guys, ask them if there's a way that we can exempt those people in that lower bracket from having to even submit a form at this point. I mean, if they fill it out, they have it, put it in their records. If somebody asks for it, they've got it so we can see it, but they don't have to mail it in, they don't have to bring it in, so that, you know,
Well, if they're exempt. then-
right, if they're
Have to.
exempt, we just get it to that point where it's done, and just stay home with it, right?
Well, they might not even get one if they're, well, every business will get one, then they got it, yeah. So
Yeah.
I got you. Just,
You know.
Okay.
It would be nice if we got one in, we could note that, look, this business is, like my business is never gonna grow to that point again, where it has that kind of capital. It's depreciated below that. I'm 5 years from retirement. I'm not investing at this point. So mine's not, you see what I'm saying? So once I get out of that, why do I have to keep filling out the paperwork? I think that's part of what Lisa was after, was a way to, you know, spare these people this
did we
nonsense.
take a vote finally? No, we're in discussion still, right?
No,
No, we
voted
took
for
the vote.
50.
We took the vote, okay.
We're done. We're moving
Good.
on.
I just wanted to make sure we didn't miss it.
No, we didn't this
The
time.
warrants
Get
now.
late for me, sorry.
Yeah, it is for me too. And I think that brings us to warrants. Let me ask, it's not on the agenda, is there any other business that can be legally conducted while we're here? Anything else? Anybody?
Happy birthday to Forrest.
There was something you said you were gonna discuss under this earlier.
Yeah, we voted on
We
it.
just did.
You just did.
We just did.
It was the business.
We left it,
person.
we didn't put under other business. We did it. Okay, warrants?
Then I'll make a motion, we approve the warrants for meeting of January 17th, 2023. General fund payroll is $37,589.63. Operating expenses, $20,986.38. For highway fund, payroll is $31,154.97. Operating expenses, $5,581.28. Solid waste management, payroll is $25,477.85. Operating expenses, $8,614.57. Library payroll is $2,112.40, zero operating expense. Culvert, looks like $390.61, for grand totals of payroll of $96,334.85, and operating expense of $35,572.84.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the warrants. Any discussion?
Yes.
Go. Page and line,
Yeah,
please.
I'm gonna try to find him.
It's at the end of it.
When you look at page 1 of 5, so the very first one, you get down, and I don't, if you can just find this out, Brandon, I don't expect an answer tonight, but it looks like these, Darren tells me that there's an issue with the power still, the payments, like even like this one. So when you look at the definition, going back from November 3rd, but yet the bill doesn't get paid until like January. I don't know, and I'm just listening to what's told. They were given a disconnect notice. That shouldn't happen.
No,
So if you can just find that out. It looks like there's a multiple amount of bills here, though, that get stacked up and paid all at one time. You know, that, I'm believing him at his word when he says that. I mean,
I'd have to see could you ask for the disconnect
the
notice?
notice, yeah, I'm sure he's got
They're
it.
only like $22 and $49.
They're
They're
just-
not like
Well,
they're,
Because Norwich is billing us on the other end
oh, okay.
for solar.
Well, let me ask you this. To Dave's point, where it's specific to a department and the bill's not being paid on time, are the bills getting into the office on time? Did that ever get resolved?
And that just most recently was resolved with Green Mountain Power. Now we have the login to print the bills online. So now we just print them and pay them. And that's why
Okay.
I'm having difficulty with the disconnect notice, and I'd have to see it.
Mike, can I
Yeah.
ask one question?
Yeah.
So yes, I'd like to actually see the disconnect notice if that is the case. So, because obviously it shouldn't happen. Did we ever, Dave and I did a little bit talk about this ourselves here, but did we ever figure out how this all, the monies come out? We had a presentation one night.
Money's come out of what?
We had the presentation for the solar and how these credits work and all that. And I
Oh,
think
yeah, that's all unresolved for me.
Well, yeah, no, that's what we walked away from that
More
meeting more
confused.
confused.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that you need to explain that now, but I think it kind of fell off, and
I'm still holding the $10,000 invoice. We haven't paid it.
Well,
So
maybe
let's,
that's why they're shutting
That's
us
why
off.
we're getting cut off.
we've paid all the ones moving forward because those ones are reconciled and we can
Well,
understand
we-
them. But the
but-
$10,000 one.
but this is, so that's leading up to another one of my questions,
Okay.
because you get into, so I don't know what's going on here, but, well, when you get a bill from Green Mountain Power, that's not from the solar projects.
Correct.
It is what it is. It's not a credit either. It's a bill from them. So if you go down to, well, let me finish this one. So still on page 4 out of 5 under the general fund, you get, the last time that I knew, Steve Heyer had a conversation with the West Side Fire Station saying that when it looked at check number 226112, it's $1,500 for hose testing. He had made it pretty crystal clear that that's not to go to people without getting taxes out.
So That was from hose testing for last year.
Well, but the check is written out for 117.23. So
117.
that shouldn't matter. What
Oh, I see, okay.
what is important is, and I've asked him that, and he said, no, because the reason why I asked that whole conversation about, when we started the budget process, I was trying to figure out, and I've had a conversation with you about your position, about trying to get out of the 8% pay raises and offer employees, or to work through something, including with whoever works for the town, some type of compensation that doesn't necessarily get tangled up in all these taxes. It benefits you as an employee, it benefits whoever was working for the fire department, whoever, wherever this is. We're highway, I don't care where it is.
Yep.
And Steve Heyer emphatically said, absolutely not. It's taxable.
So the way that you get out of that is the West Weathersfield Fire Department as a 501c3 can bill us for the 1,500, and then we can cut them a check, and then they can distribute it.
That's
as-
not what Steve said. He told me, nope, he's not going down that road. So I don't know how this happened. He heard about it and said, nope, that's not, we're not knowingly looking the other way. We can't do that.
I don't know.
Unless they've hired, which is what I think the Scutney does, they hire somebody to do it and it's a contracted thing and it's gone, whatever. It's like a miniature company that comes and does a service for them. I don't know, I just saw that and I just said, okay, red flag there. But the one that's kind of fun here, that's into the solid waste, an invoice, is from Norwich Solar. It is on
In
page.
solid waste?
Yep, page 1 of 1 in solid waste. An invoice from Norwich Technologies for electricity, $1,633.03. A bill from Norwich for electricity on 117.
Because because it's one of our town meters. It's got nothing to do with the system going in over there.
How are we paying Norwich $1,633? And if you look above, the electricity is from Green Mountain Power. A bill to solid waste. Do you mean to tell me we're using $2,000 in power over at I see some head shaking already because it's
Yeah, I
very,
haven't seen this.
I think you should pull that check out of this warrant.
Yeah, let's hold on.
226087.
Let's hold on that one.
Does everybody see
Apologize
that?
for not reviewing that one in advance.
Yeah, because I'm struggling to find the
It's on page 35 of 43, the whole packet.
35 of 43.
Yeah,
Yep,
the
there
whole,
I am.
the whole package, down at the, close to the bottom. And this goes back to the fact, I think I personally don't have any kind of handle on how this is working, so, and maybe that's just me being ignorant with it, but I think, I don't know, I'd really like to know that Steve knows what's going on, that you know what's going on, because we seem to be, they said this deal was not as good as what we thought it was gonna be.
Well, it has to do with the energy credits. I mean,
Yeah, no, it wasn't presented, it was presented in a different way, let me rephrase it, it was, what was presented to the board here, and I don't think I was on the board at the time, but it was presented differently, and even myself as a resident, I heard it differently, and didn't know we'd be paying and then getting stuff back, and then paying power and paying Norwich and blah, 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 so,
it's worse than that, because you need to pay up front
yeah.
a lot, and then they afford you the credits to use, and then if you don't use them, you lose them. Well, that power still stayed on the grid.
So we need, budgets are done, that's done, the chair can figure this out, but I think we need more
Yeah.
clarity. Because I know future boards are gonna ask the same question, members and everything else, so you might as well have something to hand people if they come on the board here,
Okay.
because they're gonna ask that question.
I'm done with the question.
So you're pulling that check out, Brendan?
Well, for clarification,
Yes.
Okay.
Do you need that in the motion?
Do
or
we
is that
need,
okay?
yeah, if we're pulling that 15 out, do we need to?
well, just say check number, whoever made the motion, whatever it is, to identify it. And and it's located in solid waste.
Yeah.
So the question for you, Brandon, after this is over is, do you mean to tell me that we spend, I don't have any way of knowing, but do you mean to tell me we spend, if you take 21, these are all electricity bills billed to the solid waste district of our own town, so it's not another town. 21 is 62, 102, $1,750 a month in electric power for the transfer station? That's what
No,
this,
it's
that's
not
what,
possible.
that's what this says.
It's not possible.
I know.
So, just for the minutes, that was check number 226087 in the amount of $1,633.03.
And would that reduce operating expense?
Yeah.
That's where that number would be, right? Would be an operating expense?
Well, it'd be specifically to
So-
solid waste.
Specifically.
Yes,
so-
solid waste operating expense, 8,614.57 minus 163303, correct?
Yep.
For yeah, it'd be faster if I do it this way, wouldn't it?
Yeah, so. I'm okay with whatever number you get. I'm not doing it. in my head.
Would change that number to 6981.54.
I'm okay with that.
That's in solid
Solid
waste
management, operating expenses.
operating expense.
Yeah.
And then the bottom line,
Would change, for grand totals.
operating expense 35,572, 35,572.84 minus. Okay, what did we do here? 35,572.84. Somehow we ended up with a stupid, got the right numbers. This thing's helping me out and I don't like it. Point right there. There it goes. Okay. No. Damn it. 35, oh, I missed a number. There it is. There we go. 35,572.84, change it to 33,939.81.
I'm okay with that too.
Okay?
Thank
You
you.
got that, Brendan?
Yes, I'm actually emailing the accountant right now to tell her not to cut the check in the morning.
939.81.
Ray, let us know if you get a shut-off notice.
Okay.
Put a generator in.
So, any further discussion on the warrants? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Motion to adjourn?
Motion to
Hey,
adjourn?
hey, Brandon, did you
Second.
did we get any comment, as long as Lisa's
All in
on,
favor?
on
Aye.
the color of the roofs, because she was not on for Martin Hall for the roof?
Sorry, Dave.
We're holding a trustees meeting in the next couple of weeks to talk about the color
Okay.
selection, and then we'll come back. to
Because
the
she's
board.
on now, and then, okay, so you're good, that's a good move.
So I made a motion to adjourn.
We all
She
said
seconded
aye,
it.
except for you. But we knew you were all
Didn't ask
set.
for a vote, but,
We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
thank you.
Shut that off now.